brother, oh brother, oh brother. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to another episode of the Matt Kors Show, where you're Matt, I'm Kors, and together we are the show. We are starting a bit early today. I do truly appreciate you getting up at the crack of dawn to join up with me, because we are going to get a very important inflation report going down in about 6 to 7 minutes. We are getting the next CPI report, the Consumer Price Index. The line in the sand is around 3%. I'll show you all those stats. Just yesterday, we got the PPI report, the Producer Price Index. Both are important measures of inflation. Yesterday, it came in soft. It came in cooler than expected. It came in lower than expected, which sent the market to the upside. A lot of people, including myself, are now very, very curious. Will we be doing this again today? Is yesterday's PPI report any indication of the either soft, hard, cool, hot, the nature of today's CPI report? I myself have about $40,000 on the line on this bet. So you could safely say that I'm a little bit of a nervous Nelly as we are going into this one. So let's see how it is shaping up early this morning. So I see the Russell's already popping. The small cap sector is in the green to the tune of 0.5%. So maybe they know something we don't. I'm also seeing yields dropping, and we could see that. So Bitcoin's up, the Russell's up. You can see bonds are starting to go up, i.e. yields are going down. So there's already some movement that I would argue favors my position, but obviously time will tell. So yes, I see the Russell going up, I see bonds going up, I see yields going down, and then I also see Bitcoin going up. Right here's Bitcoin sitting at 61.5 thousand. Obviously right here, the SPY and the Qs are pretty flat, but we are all about to find out. I want to know your guess before we get going. So right now the SPY is trading at 542 and some change. The Qs are trading at 462 and some change. Do you guys think we're about to crush it and the market's about to rip? Or do you think this is all just kind of a fake out and we're about to actually have a horrible dump? I would love to know your thoughts. Please let me know. Share your opinions. But just to get everyone prepped up, stock futures are a little change ahead of key inflation report. Yes, the SPY and the Qs, the ES and the NASDAQ, or ES and NQ, S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, they're flat. That the Russell's up, Bitcoin's up, yields are down, bonds are up as of right now. So obviously the big thing of the day is the CPI report, the Consumer Price Index. Yesterday we got the PPI. Just so you know, tomorrow, Thursday, we get retail sales. So we'll be starting again early tomorrow. Just want to put that all on your radar. Since we're talking about inflation, we already got a report out of the UK. UK inflation comes in below expectations at 2.2% after 2 months at the Bank of England. That's the equivalent of like their Fed. 2% target. So UK coming in also a little bit cool. That's a good sign. Wednesday's big CPI inflation report could mark a change in the thinking of the Fed. I would argue that it already has. I mean, I'm going to show you the odds right here. But for the next FOMC meeting, which is going to be on September 18th in the top left of your screen, there's a 44% chance that we have a 25 bips rate cut and a 55% chance that we have a 50 bips rate cut. So for the next FOMC meeting, right now, the market is actually pricing in no chance of us staying at the current Fed fund rate of 5.25%, but obviously we will find out. U.S. inflation data to show another modest increase, cementing a Fed cut. So right here, whether you just want to look at the headlines, whether you want to look at the actual data, we are going to get a cut in September. Really, at this point, it's a question of how much, and what's going to decide that is what inflation comes in at. So these are the estimates for today. The line in the sand is currently 3%. Shout out to Gurgavin for posting this. So certain banks, Goldman Sachs, TD, UBS coming in at 2.9, and then Citi, Citadel, Barclays, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, all coming in at 3. So the median right now is 3%, but we are going to be finding out in a mere 2 minutes. UBS CEO says it's too early to talk about a U.S. recession, but a slowdown is possible. I find it interesting how recently the CEO of UBS, Bank of America, and also JP Morgan have all been doing, their media tour and their thoughts and opinions. And just to see almost the gradient of how some are like, oh no, it's coming. And then other ones are like, nah, we shouldn't be talking about that right now. It is, in my opinion, kind of interesting to see how these different leaders are handling handling the situation obviously differently. Now, before this report comes out, I do want to let everyone know that, remember, even though the stock market and the economy are very related, they have quite a bit of an overlap, there's also key differences. It is very possible that the market keeps going even though we're continually seeing not so good signs in the economy. So yes, big overlap between the economy and the stock market, but they are not exactly the same thing. For example, we're not that far from an all-time high on the S&P 500, the main measure of the overall stock market. Yet we see unemployment going up. Yet we see weakening consumers. We see retail sales going down. We see delinquency spiking. We see foreclosure spiking. So there's certain economic signs that are no bueno. And yet the stock market's, how far away are we from literally the all-time high? As of yesterday's close, 4%. So I just wanted to take that second. Depending on how this does or doesn't go, we could have a soft inflation report, a cool inflation report. Market could rip, and yet we could still have some economic issues. So I just wanted to put that out there before we find out what's happening. But overall, that's kind of the setup for the day. A little bit later, we're going to be talking about some individual stocks. I want to talk about some of the updates related to Trump and Harris. So we're going to be getting into that. But obviously, to really get today going, we're going to be listening to our boy, Rick Santilli. It's always a good day when we get to listen to him. But as of right now, the SPY is green. The Qs are green. The Russell is green. I myself have, you can do the math right here, but I have about $40,000, a little bit more, $42,000 currently on the line. I have Q calls. I have SPY calls. So for me and my own, I guess, net worth, this is a big bet. I'm betting more than I should, but about 23,000 on the Qs, and right now this is about worth 19.3 on the SPY. So overall, just above 40 grand. So the decision that's about to be coming out is going to be a big one. I have about 20 seconds, and you could say that I'm pretty freaking nervous. So let's see what these guys are into. There's our boy Rick.
Market at least seems
line in the sand, 3.
Close enough for that. For the Fed futures,
buddy. All right, what's it going to be?
The meeting's getting
what's it going to be? Come on, please go up. Please go up.
You really can count on the numbers, and you can count on the Fed to be cognizant of the numbers. And if there's an issue, they will raise it. The other
It was green at first. The first, wait, what are we doing? Which way are we breaking?
And the labor market now trumps inflation.
Which way are we going? It was green, then red. Should I be excited or not?
The numbers are hitting the wires right now for the July price index.
It came in at 2.9. I'm seeing 2.9 from profit. Which way are we going?
On headline numbers.
Which way are we breaking?
Yet unrevised down 1/10. So we went from basically the weakest, the biggest negative month over month.
Give it to us, Rick.
A positive in CPI since COVID. 420
feels like it's holding green.
We're at a level that we haven't seen really since April, when we were up at 0.3. If you look at ex-food and energy, exactly as expected as well, up 0.2. The issue is, of course, it's following 1/10, which, just like the last number, was comping towards the first several months of COVID. Now, if we look at the year-over-year numbers, and I think these are always important, we're making
2.9 right here. All items 2.9. Expectation was 3.
We're expecting 3%. In the rearview mirror was 3%. 3% was the best,
core,
the lowest
3.2
year-over-year rate.
This is year-over-year.
March of 2021. So this is indeed good progress, and that number in
super core 4.9.
So we stay comp to the same time period. And finally, if you look at the year-over-year core ex-food and energy, we made progress, but it's as expected.
So we initially popped, then we dropped, then we fought back, and now we're giving it, we're basically right at where we were at 8:30.
April of 21, when it was 3%.
Which
now, many don't look at the following, but I always look at the following, the indices. If you look at the CPI actual index.
Come on, Rick.
It was at an all-time high last time at 314.175. A new all-time high, 314.54.
All right,
and if you look at core,
0.2.
same scenario.
Consumer price index
the all-time
for the
high,
month.
318.346. Came out at 318.
So the month over month was all at expectation, 0.2 versus 0.2.
That was core index. But
the year over year came in light.
Never been higher. So that really represents the definition of disinflation versus deflation.
So basically, it was out of the 4 readings, they were all in line except for one, which came in cool, came in slightly lower.
All this data? Well, prior, the 10-year was at 382.
That's what I wanted to happen. I just wanted the market to react in a better way. We're going to slightly red right now.
And if we look at the 2-year, it went
Why are
from
we going red?
392 up to 398.
Is anyone seeing any negative news?
To be fair, we were very close to 15.5-month low close on the 2-year prior to the number.
Yields are now going up.
Low close on the 10.
Why?
Kind of close. About a week ago, we made those levels.
So the market popped, dropped, popped again, now dropping.
Index, if it closed where it is now, to a 7-month low.
Bonds dropped, as in yields are going up.
But once again, I wanted to bring up, it's about timing.
The dollar
the Fed
popped.
eases 50 basis points in September, and inflation is a big election plank.
What?
How does that look to the general public?
Bitcoin dropped, now fighting back.
Okay, Rick, stay with us for more on the
really
new
actually
data. I want to bring
like
in
clearly
Joe
there's
Warner,
volatility.
economist
We're
at
basically
SMBC
just
Nikko
at
Securities,
the
America
830
One
value.
Goodwin, New York Life Investments economist, and our own Steve Leisman. Steve,
all right,
you're
Steve.
sitting there. I can see you just squinting at those numbers.
I want to read you something here. The all group. Okay, so it looks like a lot of the increase here was an increase in shelter prices. I pointed this out
shelter's up.
in the
Super
prior,
core
report that I was
4.9 year over year.
You went from 0.3 to 0.4. I want to double check that number on
right here, the super core.
I think it was owner's equivalent, Ran. I want to double check that.
4.9, and shelter itself is up 5.1%, currently highlighted. Shelter is proving to be very sticky.
It looks kind of disinflationary, or I don't want to say deflationary, but other stuff looks very well contained. Energy at 0, food at 0.2. So I'm gonna let the panel take this away, except to point out, while Rick may or may not like the government likes Rick because it's reporting that used cars and trucks fell 2.3%, and we know Rick loves his classic cars.
That was expected.
Yeah, but it's just another month in a row. 1.5 down after up in the prior month, 2.3 down. These are big declines. And what's happening, Melissa, the reason it's expected is because the government numbers are catching up with the private sector auction numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe Livornia, I will start with you, sir. I would like you to pretend you're inside the head of Jay Powell right this minute. You're thinking what?
Yeah, I don't know if I want that, Andrew, but a couple of things I just want to add to what Steve was saying is if you look at the super core, that was just up 0.21.
That's taking out food, energy, and shelter.
Slightly negative, but that's a very soft reading at 0.21. And the core CPI, which is broader, that was a 0.17, so it rounded up to 0.2. So these are good numbers, as Steve was alluding to. If I'm Jay Powell, I'm cutting 50 in September. Ooh. That would be consistent with the last 3 cutting cycles where they started with 50. In January of 01.
Let's see how these odds changed.
September of 07. And then, of course,
it actually, the odds of the 50 bips dropped slightly. It was 55, dropped by 5%.
And this is more based on a historical, but that has nothing to do with today's numbers, it sounds like.
No, I think it does because this will give them the confidence that the inflation numbers are moderating. The labor market is central, as Rick had said earlier. But as long as they're comfortable on inflation,
so we were at 542.58, so we're down by about $1.
The last report was pretty soft.
Where the SPY was
50 because
right
the Fed
before the report.
Jay Powell has told us that rates are too high relative to neutral. So why are you waiting and just going incrementally?
I think just the robots are going nuts and don't know how to handle this.
You would have to do less easing later.
Can I just point out that the market somewhat disagrees with Joe? I think I agree with his reasoning on that, but it went a little bit more towards a 25 on the probabilities for September. They're very volatile. They may change while we're talking.
Because if you think inflation is not going to be the problem, then you got to figure out how much of it is really an employment story, and then I don't know where you land there,
as of now, from the moment of the announcement, the SPY is slightly down. The Qs are down a bit more.
Agree with
the Russell's slightly down,
which is that
Bitcoin is actually down the most measurable
in the last couple of weeks, away from inflation being the key risk to positioning, and towards a broadening and weakness in the labor market being really, really what the market and the Fed are looking for in that difference between 25
very
and 50
strange
basis
reaction.
points. The Fed
guess
told
they were
us that
really
they didn't
swinging
need to
for
see
something bigger?
disinflation accelerate. They just needed to see more data in line with what we've seen in the last couple of months. That's what we're seeing today. And so this data point to me points to 25 basis points in September, but consecutive 25 basis point cuts from there. We're looking at an inflationary environment and PPI data yesterday that suggests PCE deflator, which is what the Fed really watches, is
Down by about
likely to move
75
lower.
cents on the
And so
SPY.
I don't think that this points to a need for faster cutting than that 25 basis points. We'll have to look to the labor market
$2.50 on the
report on
Qs.
September 6th to confirm that.
$1 on the
So
Russell.
Joe, I mean, to Lauren's point, basically what we have here is the inflation numbers.
Bitcoin's down by about
that's a green
$500.
light. But what you see in terms of the difference between a 25 and a 50,
The dollar,
is
see
that
how it
jobs
popped,
report
but
from
now it's
the other
starting to
Friday
give it
ago.
back. But the dollar had a
And what will
huge
really
pop.
be key will be the
And now
September
it's kind of
report.
fading.
But right now, you
Is
see
that
the
what
weakness
bonds
in
are doing
prior
as well?
jobs report
Inverse
enough to warrant 50.
drop, flat.
Yes, I do.
Be interesting
Yeah.
to see if it could push.
Yes, well, the labor market last month, if you look at the private job number,
Yeah,
excluding
yields pop.
healthcare and social insurance, you were just up 33,000.
This is the
And we've
10-year
had
yield.
consistent downward revisions in payrolls. If you look at consumers' assessment of the
Here's the
current economy, they
2-year.
think we're in recession.
Scratch on the
And
2-year.
maybe we get a bounce back in August. I don't know about that labor report. It's pretty volatile. but
30-year
If
scratch.
you're the Fed, and
So
you've got
strange.
this funds rate upper band at 550, and
Should be a good
neutral is
trading
somewhere
session.
maybe around 3% or less.
And now
Why
now
are
we're
you just
popping.
going 25? Why wouldn't you be more aggressive and wait and see, how things play out? So the labor market's soft. They're definitely
Yeah,
going.
and now we're right back to where we
50, but
were
if it seems to be
at
from a
the
risk-reward
announcement.
perspective,
I just don't think the
here's the balance of
robots, all
risk.
these
You're supposed
algos
to
knew
go
how to
more,
handle
not
this info
less.
today. I think
Hey,
they were
Rick,
digesting it,
The market
and now
seemed
we're
to
right
trade
back.
this morning a bit like it was going to get a gimme, or really get a weaker number. The dollar traded softer, yields traded down. Now they're kind of reversing.
I want to hear Rick's
We had some
breakdown, the only one that
commentary,
matters.
we talked about this morning that the bond market's trading like a recession is coming, and I don't know, the stock market's kind of whistling past all that. What's your take on this and how bonds are reacting this morning?
Whether recession or not, let's not forget the geopolitical issues of the day. I think that's played largely in what's going on in treasuries. And as far as the dual mandate and employment versus inflation, listen, I get it. But it certainly seems to me, once again, that the Fed has a very itchy
Pop,
trigger
drop,
finger
pop.
to ease.
The old pop,
And
drop, pop.
I believe they're
Same
going
thing on the
to. I don't think
Qs.
they'll do 50 because I think they'd rather have a
Here's
string of
the
a couple
Russell.
of quarter
How are
points to
individual
keep the market
tech?
kind of with a carrot in
Nvidia
front of
looking
it,
just like
to
the
kind of
SPY and the
negate
Qs.
some of the issues of the day in housing.
Apple,
But at the
same
end
thing.
of the day, Steve,
Tesla, same
we
thing.
really haven't seen any progress on inflation. If somebody wants to be agnostic about it, and I'm not saying the labor market isn't weaker, but if you take a step back, whether it was yesterday's year-over-year numbers, whether it's today's
Nvidia
numbers
had a
on a
great day
month-over-month,
yesterday.
and even year-over-year with the progress, we're certainly not aiming for 2%. We're not even aiming for 2.5%. It seems like we're aiming for 3%. And I understand the PCE is going to show less inflation than both the PPI and the CPI, but it's still not really at 2%. So you asked me what treasuries are
Slightly
looking at.
above
Yes,
yesterday's
I think that
high.
there's a nervousness after the volatility we had last week, add in
a
geopolitics,
reaction.
and add in the fact that the Fed basically sent us a signal that unless we see something eye-shattering to the upside, that they're most likely going to quarter in September. And I think the market's reflecting that. The real question
It's
is
50-50
will it be
between a
buy rumor,
quarter,
sell
25
fact
bips
when
and
it comes
50
to
bips.
markets and
Ran
how they
right back up to
assess
that
when the
830
Fed
value. Now we're
actually does
fading
the
a little
first
bit.
rate cut.
Lauren, you want to react to that?
Weird.
I do. While we're on the topic of positioning risks, I think there's two really important things to point out. The first is that, as Steve was pointing to earlier, the internals of this report are pointing to an inflationary risk balance that is tilted to the downside. That's really good news for the Fed, and frankly, it's good news for the market. I'm looking
All
at
right, let me
things like
see what's going
shelter,
on.
motor
Market
vehicle insurance
internals.
that are still a little sticky, but those essentials are starting to crowd out pricing power in areas like food
All right.
away from home and more.
This is getting boring. Getting boring. All right. So as of now, we're kind of scratch. It was bullish. Then it was bearish. Then it was bullish. Then it was bearish. Then it was sideways. Then it tried to recover. And now the way everything is settling is we are slightly below the value we were at. That was the value like right before the report came out. So that puts us in a situation where we're volatily going nowhere. We're violently going nowhere is what the result as in 12 minutes in, which is going to basically just leave it up to the actual trading session. My best estimate in real time is just the algos, the robots going wild on all of the data, trying to interpret it. And it seems like certain robots were bullish, certain ones were bearish. And right now we are not getting a clear agreement among the initial traders on the situation. So right here, like I said, we're pretty much at that value thus far scratched. So let's see how this really plays out. I do want to remind you, we're still technically in earnings season. After the market closes today, we're going to hear from Cisco. Tomorrow, Alibaba, Walmart, JD, John Deere. Obviously, Walmart's going to be a very, very important one, so I recommend paying attention to that. This is, once again, tomorrow morning, Walmart. You can get this all from @eWhispers. It's also in the newsletter. In terms of other individual companies and their news, Mars to acquire Cheez-It, Pringle maker. So in a $36 billion deal, you know, your boy likes Cheez-Its. Did not know that they were worth $36 billion. But yeah, so Mars expanding, I guess it's snack food empire. Other big news, yesterday it was reported that the U.S. Justice Department is considering breaking up Alphabet's Google, according to Bloomberg. And then obviously Rumble's founder and CEO, Chris Pavlovski. This impact would have, this would be huge for Rumble and all of its creators, cannot be understated. This would transform the internet in the most beautiful and positive way. I think it's one of those things that we kind of all know that Google is obviously a monopoly. It's obviously like flirting with some antitrust issues. It is interesting that we're getting to the point where apparently the Justice Department is considering stepping in. In terms of monopolies, the U.S. really hasn't had a big landmark case in a couple decades. I mean, the last one was back in the heyday of like Microsoft and Bill Gates and everything. So it'll be interesting to see how far this does or doesn't go. But I just want to let you know that that Google, and actually on that, we're back in the green now. Did Google take a hit when this was reported yesterday? Yeah, okay. There was some crazy stuff going on with Google because of, like, is it actually gonna, hang on, I don't even, that's Class C. Is this the right Google? There's so many different Googles. Yeah, but a little bit of negativity there on this potential legal issue. So I just wanted to let you know about that. Is the pain over? Newsletter, mattcourse.locals.com. My mods will drop it in chat. It's in the description of the video, but I break down the previous week. I let you know what's coming for the upcoming week in terms of my own, I guess, like qualitative opinions, all the major macroeconomic events. For example, today was a big CPI day. Tomorrow we get retail sales and Fed manufacturing. That all comes out at 8:30. And then on Friday, we're going to get the consumer sentiment. I give you all the earnings. I highlight the ones I think you're going to care about, specifically tomorrow, Thursday, Walmart. And then probably most useful, I give you the seasonality. Historically, and when I say that, I mean over the past 25 years, this day, Wednesday, August the 14th, has been a neutral day. It was a bit bullish, then it was a bit choppy, then it was a bit bearish, then it was a bit bullish. So overall, it's neutral. The bulls over the past 25 years have won it 52% of the time, slightly better than flipping a coin. And the profit factor is above 1, which means it's been profitable to be a bull, but not the most profitable day we've ever seen. So that, I would not interpret this data, this statement to be like, oh, today will be a choppy, messy day. It's more of, okay, some of the days have clearly been bullish. Some of the days have clearly been bearish historically. So then by the time it all nets out, it's tough to pick. So the way I interpret it is, I just actually don't care about seasonality today. What I care the most about is going to be obviously the market's reaction to this CPI report. What's the trend, the short-term trend? Are we bullish? Are we bearish? What's going on with the dollar? What's going on with yields? What's going on with bonds? What's going on with gold? Speaking of which, gold as of yesterday had its highest close ever. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But right now, a little bit choppy in terms of seasonality. So I just want everyone to know that. Tomorrow, it does favor the bulls a bit more. And then Friday, it very much favors the bulls. This isn't like a top 5 most bullish day, but it's still a very, very, very bullish day. Friday, August the 16th, historically, The bulls have won this almost 70% of the time. That's crazy. Generally we're dealing with 50-50. The profit factor is 2.38, so the bias is very bullish. But hey, 7 out of 10 times, I definitely like those odds. And here's a look at the equity curve, that when the bulls win, they win. And even when the bears win, it's kind of not that big. So I just wanted to let you know about that. And then obviously an update on just how Piper is doing. Speaking of which, yesterday was a good day to be me. I used the Piper signal. I sold some puts because the market was trending to the upside, ended up making about $2,000, which is exactly why you guys should all get into the Discord, because your first month is free anyway when you sign up for locals as a supporter if you use the code Goonie. So you could have gotten this for 100% free, no less all the other trades, the swing trades, the lectures, and everything else going on in the Discord. But this is all done via locals. And just to give you a little bit of a taste of how this goes down, as you can see at 11 in the morning, Piper fired, recommended a SPY put credit spread, a Q put credit spread, bullish 5 out of 5 confidence. Obviously, that's the max confidence that Piper will get. That is saying, hey, everything is aligning. And if you missed yesterday, it was actually a pretty darn good call out, because that's exactly what ended up playing out. But anyway, 5 out of 5 confidence. Had you taken that at the minimum unit sizing of 507, it would have returned $93, as in for every $507 in your account, you could have scaled the profit up by an additional 93. This would have been the minimum unit sizing. And then I myself traded a little bit differently. I traded it by selling SPX puts. You could see I did this around 10 a.m. So I front ran the signal a little bit. I sold 15 of them at $1.60, bought back at 50 cents, and then bought the other 10 back at 15 cents. So the first trade locked in 550. The second trade was 1,450. And thus together it was $2,000 before fees, which would have been 4 years of access to the whole Discord thing. Once again, if you want to sign up, the first month is free as long as you put in this code Goonie, and you've heard me pitch it enough, which is why exactly we've gone out of our way to better explain the entire service by making an ad for you. Please enjoy. So I think that should answer all of your questions. We put together that informative graphic to like really explain what it is, what it isn't. So I don't think that there could be any questions about the Discord after that. I feel like that all kind of, I don't know. I figured like, because there's so many times that I'm answering the same questions about the Discord over and over and over again, that the producer and I thought it would be useful in all reality to just throw together that ad explaining the full thing. So I think that should answer all of your questions. So once again, let me know, but I'm assuming that your questions have now been answered because of all of that. All right. There's a couple other things that I want to get into. We're seeing some interesting shifts in the political arena. And my first question to all of you is, do you believe this? Kamala Harris is now leading Donald Trump by 8 percentage points, according to Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market. So this isn't a poll. This is people throwing down their money. And this is, we're seeing huge swings. You could see it on the bottom of your screen right here. But Harris, with the whole transition from Biden running to Harris running, that was this choppy thing right back here, kind of in like mid-July, about a month ago. And then since then, Harris has been going up and up and up, and Trump has actually been trending down and down and down, to the point that, according to Polymarket, this is just a betting market. It's not a poll. It's just where people are placing their money. They're actually saying that Harris has an 8-point lead, And I'm just curious, do you think that this betting market is actually currently accurately mirroring, reflecting the actual chances of winning? So I just want to get your thoughts on that. And as I'm reading this chat, as it's coming in, I wanted to share some of the other things, because I have to be completely honest with you, but seeing what is going on with CNN and how they're reacting to the Elon Trump discussion, it's so funny. But before we get into all of that, I wanted to play this little clip for you that, I don't know, maybe Harris is truly leading. Maybe the public just likes her ideas, but then it becomes interesting of where is she getting these ideas?
She certainly, again, has many parts of President Biden's agenda that she helped pass, that she supports, but she's also going to be putting forward her own agenda. And that's something you heard her talk about when she talked about no taxes on tips in Nevada earlier this week.
I will be saving Social Security, and I'm going to work it out that there's no tax on Social Security for seniors. I'm also doing no tax on tips. No tax on tips.
Including to raise the minimum wage and eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
She certainly, again, has many parts.
Yeah, so CNN apparently forgetting that we're not completely stupid, and her most popular economic statement is literally ripped off of Trump, the whole no tax on tips. Kamala Harris campaign spokesperson says Kamala is putting forward her own agenda and then uses Trump's no tax on tips policy as proof. Remarkable. It really is. It is pretty astounding how much legacy media just thinks we're all incredibly, incredibly stupid. But as of now, once again, not according to polls, but according to the betting market where people are putting their money, Harris does have an 8-point lead. So with this, they were talking about the potential of why we're seeing play out what we're seeing play out. So this was on the Squawk Box this morning, and I thought there were some interesting points that I just want to get your thoughts on.
It is polls in the presidential race showing the Vice President Harris gaining ground in some swing states and even eroding
serious
some
ground.
of former President Trump's lead in Florida. Our next guest says if the election were held today, she would win. Joining us right now is pollster and political strategist Frank Luntz. That's a turn.
It's more than that.
That's a plot twist.
Huge switch.
She's bringing out people who are not interested in voting for either Trump or Biden. So the entire electoral pool has changed.
Where's the volume?
If it continues in this direction, you have to start to consider Democrats winning the Senate and Democrats winning the House.
As in a sweep.
Actual people who are participating. She's got intensity now. She's got an intensity advantage. She's got a demographic advantage. And I haven't seen anything like this happen in 30 days in my lifetime.
How big is that marginal extra voter that she's bringing in? I mean, how much does that change the pool?
1%, maybe 2%. That's it. But that's enough.
Right.
Can I just ask you, though, about the veracity, frankly, of the polls right now? Because you go back and look, and there was an interesting report yesterday showing that if you look at where Donald Trump was in terms of what the polling showed, this is back in 2016, undercounted. You go even in 2020, undercounted. And so, you start to think about the, margin of error situation where maybe she's up, 1 or 2%. But, is the Trump vote fully counted?
But that's why my process is not just to do the numbers. It's also to do the focus groups, to listen, to understand why people feel this way. And now my groups are broken up by young women saying, I'm not voting for him anymore. Make no mistake, there are 3 attributes, 3 components.
So you think it's a switch? It's not, because you just said, I'm not voting for them anymore. So you think they were voting for Donald Trump, and now they're voting for Harris?
The people who are undecided have all collapsed towards Harris. The people who are weak Trump have all collapsed towards undecided. It's this broad shift. I'm trying to do a focus group tonight with undecided voters under the age of 27 for major...
I guess before we let him go on with that, from your own life, do you feel like that's what you're seeing? The people who were weak Trump supporters are now collapsing to undecided, and then the people who were undecided are now collapsing to weak Harris supporters. That's the data he's saying. I'm not saying I don't know his own political leanings whatsoever. This is just the data set that he has, and I thought that was interesting. I didn't think it was necessarily reflective of what I've been experiencing here in New York City. If anything, I think there's still the vote, especially minority men, but maybe the minority vote in general, seems to still be very, very in support of Trump. That's my own experience. Obviously, I'm just in one area, one very specific urban area. So I just wanted to take a second to ask you guys, what are you seeing in the regions that you're at in your own social networks? Loud noises, nope. Stay, absolutely not. Total BS, hell no. Inflation, crime, energy. But those Dominion scenes, how are they voting?
News outlet. And I can't recruit young women to this because they don't exist as undecided voters. And you shift the demographics and you shift the entire outcome. There are issues, attributes, and the conditions of the country. The issues and conditions favor Donald Trump. He should be winning this election. But the attributes are so much in Harris's favor that he's not.
What does he really mean by attributes?
The Trump office, and the best example, you did the story on the UAW. Why is Donald Trump saying publicly, I want to fire the same people that he's getting now, still getting union members? It's ridiculous. It's as though he's lost control. And I know that there are billionaires who watch this show who are spending a lot of money on Donald Trump, and they don't understand why he's committing political suicide.
What can he do? Are these problems
I don't know
fixable?
if he is, though. I guess maybe I'm just completely missing the point here.
Kamala Harris, those are things that cannot be fixed.
Yes. So there are three issues. Number one is affordability. We should not call it inflation ever again. It's housing, health care, food, and fuel. And the people that Trump needs cannot afford it either every week or every month. Second, wasteful Washington spending, which you're not talking about anywhere. This was an issue over the last 8 years. Hardworking taxpayers hate it when they see their money being wasted. And third, it's not just immigration, it's safety and security. And I brought the headline here. I look at this. I walked into your office. I don't know if you can get this.
This is the New York Post. It says $5 billion, shocking amount New York City taxpayers have spent on migrants, and it's still going up.
And this people will look at this and go, damn it.
Right.
Or even worse, Trump should be winning. But the attributes, there are three things that people are looking for there. By the way, it's a cube. Three different areas, four different components. Number one, who's got results? Trump actually can show it. Trump has the advantage there. Number two, a detailed plan of action, which he's about to release tomorrow. And number three is genuine accountability, which the public thinks no one does.
Let me ask you
I think, I don't know. I was interested in that because of the breakdown of the individual things. And then the things that he was saying in terms of like the metrics that apparently like are really prompting people to go out and cast their vote. It does seem as if Trump kind of checks all those off. So I don't know. Like, I guess I'm a little bit confused because it seems like Frank's all over the place of if Trump is leading in those major things that could prompt people to vote, but then he's saying Harris is winning right now. I guess I'm a little bit confused on his message in a general sense because from his own admission, like, hey, he says Trump has all these things. So maybe he's commenting on this all more from a strategist standpoint of like, okay, he has it all. Now he just needs to like really highlight it and showcase it to the public. Kind of interesting. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. And then I wanted to get into the more fun things, really highlighting how CNN has just been like losing its mind. Absolutely losing its mind ever since Elon Musk interviewed Donald Trump on that Twitter or X space call. We're going to go through a little bit of a montage, but this stuff is hilarious.
Began with 40 minutes of silence and then a bropocalypse of politics.
A
no matter how you
bropocalypse.
frame it or what caused the glitch. What was finally said between Donald Trump and Elon Musk at last night's big X event can largely be defined as a rant filled with familiar lies and lines of attack.
That's just simply not true.
Kamala wouldn't have this conversation. She can't because she's not smart. You know, she's not a smart person. She is a radical left San Francisco liberal, and now she's trying to protect. Now she's looking like she wants to be more Trump than Trump.
Talking about
if
the
that's
no tax on
possible. I don't think
tips.
it's possible. But she wants to be more Trump than Trump. She's terrible. But she's getting a free ride.
All right. But did it do what it was designed to do, which was to put the brakes on?
Once again, they'll say that it was a rant-fueled discussion with inaccuracies and lies, and yet they won't point out the actual inaccuracies and lies. And it keeps going. Like the meltdown that CNN is still having. It's honestly comical.
I want to play one exchange that was kind of classic. Well, there were a lot of exchanges that were classic Donald Trump, but this one really stuck out to us.
And Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're like full cities again. So it's really not something that, you know. So it's not as scary as people think, basically.
So that was more Elon Musk.
That should be illegal. It probably is illegal, but the way they cut that together, they took two different segments, made it seem like it was back to back. And I mean, it's out there. The full discussion's out there. You can fact check this yourself. But CNN selectively cuts parts of the Elon Trump conversation about nuclear energy last night to make it seem like they were saying that the bombings of Japan were no big deal. That's the definition of being dishonest. They are literally just clipping things together, and clearly they didn't message at all. The way they cut it right here.
And Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're like full cities again. So it's really not something that, you know. So it's not as scary as people think, basically.
Just cutting things together that like in real time did not exist together. Absolutely wild. And it's honestly why it's just a giant laughing stock. This just happened on the Colbert Report.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. Oh, I know. CNN makes a... I know.
Is that supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
Do you know how bad the public's opinion of your legacy media company is, where they think something's a laugh line? The entire audience just subconsciously could not stop themselves and had to laugh when he said that CNN is objective. I mean, obviously, she's embarrassed. He realized that it was awkward. And that's just where we're at. Not only with CNN, but a lot of legacy media, where the crowd, the audience, you and me can simply not stop ourselves from laughing when people call it objective, because we all know it's not objective. Absolutely nuts. On top of all of that, I do want to remind, you guys probably saw it. I mean, I was down at Rumble, so we didn't cover it in detail, but you probably saw it in your own life, of how there was... the EU commissioner was basically reaching out to Elon saying, hey, right here, this one, of with great audience comes great responsibility, basically saying, don't do this talk because I don't like it. Well, now the EU is actually taking an interesting stance. The EU accused its internal market commissioner of going rogue by sending the letter to Elon Musk, threatening punishment hours before Elon interviewed U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump on X. So basically, they're saying Ms. Breton, whatever, saying that, no, she just went rogue. But it is kind of hilarious that Elon responded by saying, take a big step back and literally fuck your own face. To be honest, I never really want to respond with the Tropic Thunder meme, but I would never do something so rude and irresponsible. Truly just saying, yeah, no, you shouldn't do it because, I don't know, I guess their feelings are getting hurt or something. So that's the wrap up. Two major things going on. We have big political updates, and then we have big economic updates. The major economic update as of this morning, if you're just joining in right now, is the Consumer Price Index. The CPI report came in slightly lower than expected. The median estimate was 3%, and it came in at 2.9. Core also coming in at expectation of 3.2. And then if you look at super core, this is probably really its shelter and how much shelter is up. Even transportation's up by 8.8. So there's some things right here in services, less energy services right here, shelter, transportation, and medical care services. These three are probably most likely, I'll be able to do a deeper dive on it later, but they're probably why we're not just ripping to the high heavens right now. This blue line, the SPY at 542.58, that's exactly where we were before the announcement came out. So as you could see, we were bullish, then we were bearish, then we were bullish again. Then we were bearish, then we were bullish. So now we are successfully pushing and we are in the green, as in above where we were just before the announcement came out. So the SPY recovering as of now, my best estimate of why it was like kind of just violently going nowhere is because some of the sub portions of this overall CPI report aren't so good. And I think the robots that are literally just these algos that quickly digest this data and place big trades on it, we're kind of getting confused overall. And that would be my best estimate what's happening here. But as you can see, finally some reasonable traders kind of funny to say that because I don't think any of us are really that reasonable, are starting to win out. So the SPY clearly back above that value. The Qs above their value. The Russell not looking so hot. So the small cap sector under a little bit of pressure. Bitcoin not recovering. So the SPY and the Qs did recover. The Russell didn't, and Bitcoin hasn't. But that's as of now. Obviously, we still even have 25 minutes till the market opens. No less what's going to happen during the actual trading session. Just while we're here talking about the overall things, the dollar initially popped. Generally not so good for the stock market. But since the dollar is fading, no surprise that the S&P 500 actually is going up. And then if you want to look at bonds, here's a look at 20-year bonds. Popped, dropped, going flat. And right now, that's probably what we're going to see in yields since we already saw the 20-year. Let's look at the 10-year yield. We popped, came down a little bit, going flat. So we saw the initial large reaction in the world of fixed income, but hasn't really been moving since then. The only other thing worthwhile to pay attention to is gold, which is now taking a bit of a hit after it had its highest closing value of all time yesterday. So gold looking pretty freaking strong right here. Gold futures in overall on the daily chart, obviously strong. But then if you look at the smaller time frame, ever since this report this morning, we're seeing it trend slightly to the downside. And just because we're here, we might as well take a look at oil. Oil pumped and pumped and pumped, got right back above its cloud. I'm curious to see how that's going to react, but a little bit of black gold going down today. Interesting. Oil's been all over the place. All right, let's get this back up. So right now, we are opening above yesterday's high, which, yes, means that there's that opportunity of a downside gap fill. I'll mark this out for everyone here. I'll put it in red just so we know it is a downside gap fill. But yesterday's high of 542.28 would represent a full gap fill if we trade down to that value, currently at 542.95. So about 60 cents above that, so not too far. I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up getting filled today just because we are so close. And then we have a similar situation also in the NASDAQ. The Qs had a high yesterday of 462.85, currently trading about 80 cents above that. So another one that very reasonable if that gets filled today. Am I going to sneeze? I thought I had to sneeze, but I guess it was a false alarm. Honestly, actually, does the Russell itself have one? It kind of does. Yeah, even the Russell has a downside gap fill. Currently trading at 208.95, and yesterday's high was 208.38. So the SPY, the Qs, and the Russell, SPY, QQQ, IWM, all have relatively close downside gap fills. Will it get filled today? The odds are pretty high. They are. Just because we're so close, we're really not that far away. I'm surprised with this CPI report that we got out this morning that things are even I thought we would have a lot more strength. Am I being biased? Of course I'm being biased because, like I said, I have about $40,000 on the line of my own money on the SPY and on the Q. So I'm at the point where I'm looking for anything, any level of optimism to see if things will get pushing. But that is simply where we are at. So that's the situation. That's the skinny on the day. For those of you who are energy traders, specifically oil, we do have some oil reports coming out later, so you might want to be paying attention to that just for all the energy traders who are currently listening. So we got the inflation report. Tomorrow, we have more reports. We get the retail sales report tomorrow, just so everyone knows. We have a couple Fed speakers. We have the energy report coming out. We have some interesting movement in the world of politics. At some point this week, we are expected to get a more full-fledged economic plan from both the Trump and from the Harris administration. So we're attempting to know what they're just more of a full-fledged outlook of, or I should say their outlook on the economy. So I want to let you know about that just because they could have some movement. But overall, we're seeing a pretty strong recovery ever since the start of August. The SPY did hit this all-time high, then it kind of vomited, and since then we're bouncing back up, and we're bouncing back up with aggression. The Q's not as much. Yeah, it is bouncing back up, but just not as much as the SPY has, and we're at the point where the Russell's kind of just gone flat on us. Bitcoin successfully bouncing off. Let me get rid of this. We have Bitcoin bouncing off of this trend line that it's been kind of, battling it out for quite a while, but a little bit stronger than it is weaker. So I'll take that as a win. Coinbase just kind of going flat. Obviously, if Bitcoin goes, I would expect Coinbase to also go. NVIDIA had a phenomenal day yesterday, recapturing the EMA cloud. I'm loving the strength on NVIDIA. Similar thing with Tesla. It's lagging a little bit behind, but I would love to see it take out 215. Meta, huge recovery on Meta. We're actually at a level of resistance right now. I want to see how it reacts to about 525, 540, somewhere in this region to see if it keeps going. But we do have higher highs. We do have higher lows. Meta clearly showing some strength. Microsoft, oddly enough, this one, in terms of the major tech plays, is the one that is lagging behind the most. It is bouncing a bit, but it has some room to go before it gets back into that bullish swing territory. Apple, on the other hand, nicely recaptured already. Want to see it take out about 225. Rumble, solid earnings. Want to see it take out its cloud. Netflix, same thing, took out its EMA cloud. Netflix is really just going with the overall market, got beat up. And then ever since the start of August, like just a strong pump to the upside. Amazon has a bit more distance to go. Starting yesterday, it got into this upside gap fill. There is an upside gap fill on Amazon all the way to 181.87. Probably worthwhile to pay attention to. Let's take a look at Solana right at its trend line. ETH bouncing right off of its trend line, trying to recover up, but it's at 2.7 right now. Bonds overall, TLT, this is the major bond play that I've been paying attention to. I do have this in my long-term account. I'm in at the high 80s, currently trading at the high 90s, so I'm happy with that. Texas Roadhouse just going flat near its all-time high. Boeing vomited, now going flat, not much movement there. Palo Alto Networks, a beautiful recovery ever since the start of August. I mean, look at PanW, just pushing. And the real question is, did anyone ever even question this? The fact that Pelosi's in on Palo Alto Network? I mean, I don't think that there was really any question there whatsoever. Broadcom recovering like NVIDIA. It just got on the top side of its EMA cloud. There is an upside gap fill to 166.40. ASML, I've been watching this one. I'm still waiting to get in because I do think it eventually recovers all the way back up to above 1,000. I'm just waiting for that opportunity. But right here, ASML showing a little bit of strength, but I still haven't executed a trade on it just because I want to see more confirmation before I really start dipping my toes in there. So that's the quick breakdown of the things I have on my watch list. What's on all of your minds? Where are you guys at? Where are you guys at? What are you guys looking? SERV. I swear, if you guys are pitching me another random ass company that sucks, it looks like it's a recent SPAC play. Is it not even a SPAC play? It doesn't have that much data. It looks very, very new. I tend to not trade things that just made their market debut, so I would avoid it. But it pumped, looked weak, saved itself somehow at $10. I don't know anything about this. It's up a little bit right now. It's up 34%, but there's just not much to go off of. Like it's kind of it hasn't traded that much. SMCI, another semiconductor play. SMCI actually lagging behind the rest of these other ones in terms of semiconductors. The other ones have been having a stronger bounce since the start of August. SMCI is definitely on a relative basis showing a bit of weakness. Chipotle getting hit with their CEO going to Starbucks. So Chipotle got hit yesterday. I think it eventually recovers. I think the market's waiting to see who the new CEO is. Starbucks obviously had a phenomenal day yesterday. The market really liking this guy because when he leaves Chipotle takes a hit, joins Starbucks rockets. So that's the big switch. The big literally opposite movement between Chipotle and Starbucks is because the CEO went from one to the other. The one he left, Chipotle, taking a hit. The one he's joining, Starbucks, really going up. But even with that, I mean, I think it's silly for you to chase Starbucks right now. I mean, you're just paying a premium. Not long ago, as in Monday, it was trading at 78. Now it's trading at 95. I don't know why so many people are willing to get like sucked into this and pay like such a high cost on a relative basis. But whatever floats your goat, dude. It's not my money. But this, in my book, it would be very, very silly to chase this right now. It would be very silly to chase this. What's going on with Sava? I see some people commenting Sava. Nothing. I don't know. The long-term chart looks like shit. It's a biotech play with a horrible looking long-term chart. It's trash. I don't know. It pumped, then it dumped, and I guess what? You're hoping that it pumps again? It just looks like a really shitty like biotech play. I don't know. There's easier plays out there. Make your life easy, dude. Don't chase dumb shit like this. VSCO. What is this one? It's up 16%. Oh, Victoria's Secret. Was there an announcement? I'm not seeing earnings. What are they doing? Are they like stopping with being woke, or does anyone have news on why Victoria's Secret is up? I'm not seeing it's not their earnings. Does anyone know this off the top of their head? Anyone? VSCO. I wonder why. VSCO. Breaking: Victoria's Secret hires new CEO. Okay, so they do have a new CEO. So I guess this is the season of new CEOs. So they're liking that. Another CEO. I mean, I would never. To me, that's not a good reason to get into a company. Is it pops on news and then you chase it after the new CEO? I don't know. I feel like you're buying at too high of a price. And I think too many people are just get excited. They see that large upward movement and like, oh, I got to get in now too. And you don't. You can wait till it's cheaper. So I don't know. Another CEO. So that one's up. That's why Starbucks is up. I bet if you historically looked at it, there's probably a higher odds than not that you're able to just wait and get a better price, even if you like the CEO, to chase it on that announcement where there's the big percentage pump. I mean, VSCO, Victoria's Secret, it is up 16%. That's a large jump. We saw that yesterday with Starbucks. I would bet any qualitative analysis of it, it's probably not worthwhile to chase it on day one. I bet if you just show a little bit more patience, you'll probably be able to just wait for a decrease in price and get the exact same share at just a cheaper cost. So I would say patience probably wins out rather than chasing. There's too many people in the world of retail who are willing to chase like on anything, which I think that's very silly. Very SCRV had a short squeeze movement. Was this to the NVIDIA SCRV? A short squeeze? Did it ever even have shorts? A lot of people like to just say shorts. Like it's a short squeeze when it just moves up, which is obviously comical. A short squeeze move, and yet they don't even know what the short interest is. SCRV, let's actually look at what it is. Interesting. So the cost to borrow is extraordinarily high, but the utilization isn't maxed out. It doesn't have that much short interest. It's 14%. It's not nothing. It's definitely above a regular equities high, but it did at the start of August. It was double. So I mean, when people, the best way to think about squeezes and whatnot is the gradient. It's like how many shorts are in there. And up until this point, the end of July, the start of August, the short interest was double. It was around 30. So I think there's probably like some partial truth to it that, yes, some shorts were in there and they got their asses handed to them. But yet they're still shorts and now they're riding these back down. So you'd have to do like a further breakdown. But at the start of August, it was around 30%, currently coming in at 14.5. So as the price is dropping right now, right here, as we're going from about 21 down to what it was yesterday, $10, we're seeing some of the shorts like drop. I've never played this one myself, but just to kind of comment and just look at what we're seeing with the short interest, overlaying that with the price action was the short interest was the highest right here, and then the shorts wrote it down, or at least a portion of them, and it seems like they're recently locking in some of that money, but you're going to need a little bit more time to pass to be kind of sure about that. All right. Cool stuff. We have about 10 minutes to go. So with 10 minutes to go right now, the SPY, it is slightly green. Like when I say slightly, barely slightly, closed out yesterday at 542.04, currently trading at 542.83. If we look at the Qs, closed out at 462.58, currently trading about $1 higher at 463.50. So just under $1 higher. The Russell closed out the day at 207.97. Once again, $1 higher, trading at 208.77. I obviously was very much hoping that we would have an extreme bullish reaction to the CPI report. Obviously, that did not happen. We are slightly up right here. You can see right where the report came out. We popped, we dropped. Now we're climbing our way back up. Same thing with the Qs. We popped, we dropped, climbing our way back up. So the bulls, as of now, and granted the market's not open yet, I would argue They do have the slight upper hand, but that's where we're at. Why is Bitcoin crashing? It's not. I guess I don't know how to answer that question when it's not. That's Bitcoin. That's not. It's what? Are you looking at the right chart? Crashing. It's simply not crashing. I don't know. I don't know how to answer the question where it's just not. Okay, cool. Let's see. Oh, wait, what's Kramer? Oh, wait. They're talking about Google getting broken up.
Work is because the frozen food aisle.
Hang on, I want to know about this.
Schmidt's comments were made during a
All right, let's see what they have to say. Can I speed this up? Can we play it at double speed? Is that allowed? It doesn't seem to be allowed.
Schmidt's comments were made during a discussion at Stanford, the University
Former
School
Google
of Engineering.
CEO blames remote work for company struggles.
Google decided that work-life balance and going home early and working from home was more important than winning. And the reason startups work is because the people work like hell. And I'm sorry to be so blunt, but the fact of the matter is if you all leave the university and go found a company, you're not going to let people work from home and only come in one day a week if you want to compete against the other startups.
Some argue, Jim, this took a little shine off of the AI event yesterday.
Yeah.
The event was not that good.
I think he's right. What can I say? I mean, there are two different kinds of work. There's the work where you decided, all right, listen, I'm going to roll the dice, be on my own, do this kind of thing. And then there's where you come in and you wear a suit or you wear like shorts, I don't know, and they say, look, do work at home, we don't care. And I think that the collaboration at this level is everything you have. If you're on your own and you're not going to collaborate, I don't know how it works. How does it work?
We've been saying this for years at this point. Doesn't matter. I mean, Fridays certainly are a day that most people do not come to the office, I think it's fair to say, in this country. That said, a lot of companies are back to at least expecting 4 days a week, which probably gets it done for the most part in terms of
I loved working from home at my last job. I always look for every opportunity to not go to the office because I didn't want to work. There's no way you're more productive at home. The average, maybe you individually are, but in terms of the workforce, you definitely get more work done in the office.
In terms of attacking something such as a huge sea change to your business as AI, by all just sort of being, not together. By the way, we should point out, those comments were from some time ago. Stanford just released the video, and that's why it's getting attention.
I work from home and I love it. Yeah, I loved it too because I didn't really have to work.
So that was from a number of months ago, is our understanding.
Some individuals are, but in aggregate, I don't think people are more efficient.
Athletes from Stanford who medaled, they all get together because they don't seem like they didn't work Fridays.
Ledecky would be one.
I think Ledecky probably worked Friday with a glass of milk on her head.
Right. As for the DOJ reports, Jim, I know you've been all over the notion of a breakup and what that would do to overall
would that
value.
Be terrific? I mean, if Jonathan Cantor wants to, maybe he's switched to the Bulls. He's been on the Bear side. Because, first of all, you have Waymo in there. No one even knows what Waymo does. You have the other bets. Maybe they'd be worth something. The search is such a good business. On the last conference call, they completely blew what YouTube was worth. Maybe if someone was really just a great spokesman for YouTube, we would know they were doing. I think that their PC, Android is great. This thing is so terrific that it should be broken up into 5 or 6 companies, and it would be,
SOTP, huh? SOTP.
I think that Cantor used a price target of 200.
Some of the parts,
He used a price target of 200.
He had a 200 price target.
He's right now, he had been a sell. It was a double upgrade.
We should make the point that what the DOJ wants is not necessarily what the judge would recommend as a remedy, not to mention, of course, the appeals process is going to stretch out
DOJ considers breaking up Google following court ruling that Google monopolized the search market.
Victory by the U.S., at least initially.
It almost seems like it's a race against the clock. It's almost like there's an election, and maybe these people won't be there, so they ought to do it now.
We also always make the point that the technology ends up moving past the remedies so often.
Okay, so who uses Google when you use Meta AI? Meta AI is. I got to tell you guys.
Is AI available on WhatsApp? Are you aware of that as well?
Yeah, it's everywhere. Meta AI.
Yeah.
But like I'm on Meta AI maybe 20 times a day, and I've only had one miss, almost one hallucination. Yeah,
it's powered by Llama.
They have all the information in the
All
world.
right.
It's so good.
I thought they were going to get into a better
now.
discussion about breaking up Google, which obviously would be a very, very big deal. I don't think we're going to find out the results of that for a while. I would assume that the legal process is going to take quite some time, but definitely something to consider. All right, as we're heading into market open, there's a bit of an upswing on the SPY, a bit of an upswing on the Qs, a bit of an upswing on NVIDIA. NVIDIA's up. It was up 6.5% yesterday. It's up an additional 2.6% this morning. NVIDIA is recovering like no other. Congrats to those of you who had the balls to play it. You definitely deserve it. I mean, NVIDIA is, look at that. Let's go to the 30-minute on NVIDIA. Look at this recovery. It went from 92 up to 119 like no other. No other. So much incredible strength. I'm hoping some of you, I didn't get that. I didn't actively play this. I have some NVIDIA shares in my long-term account, so I'm happy it recovered. But for those of you who had the balls to play some short-term calls on this, definitely enjoy that money because that was definitely a sick trade. And I'm jealous of you if you grabbed it. Did any of you in here grab that one? I know we have a lot of fans of NVIDIA. I know we have some fans of Meta and whatnot. So I have a feeling that some people had to do very, very well. All right, we are about 2 minutes out. So actually, let's get a poll going. Why? Here we go. Start a poll. Market from open to close. Are you guys bullish or bearish? All right, I just threw up the poll. And as we're waiting for you guys to not only answer that, but right here, today's stream partner is Apex. Apex is what I do all of the futures trading with that you guys see. It's this thing right here. Also to show you guys right here, I have not traded my 20 accounts. I have 20 PA accounts. When you start with Apex, you have to pass an eval challenge. Once you pass an eval challenge, then you get a funded account and you could trade. So you go from eval to PA, performance account, I believe it's called, or a personal account. Excuse me. I believe it is a performance account. So anyway, that's what the PA stands for. So when you have an eval, it starts with just Apex, and then performance, that's the PA. And when you have a PA account, that's when you're trading for real money. As in, if you do well, you can actually get payouts from the company. You're allowed to have up to 20 accounts per user. So obviously, I have all 20, and they are wildly different. They all start with 50K. Some are as low as 51.5, 51.4, and then some are as big as, do I even have any in the 56s? I don't think so. I'm up to 55.7 on some. So some are doing better than others, but I just wanted to show you that I haven't traded any of them yet. And if you guys are interested in doing it, to take the test, it's about $30, $35. That's going to last for another 14 hours to get 80% off. I use the 50K account. They do have various ones. I like the 50K right here just because of the ratio of how many contracts you can trade, your profit goal, your trailing threshold. I just like the ratios the best, but you could go smaller. Obviously, that's cheaper, or you could go bigger. They're a bit more expensive. I like the 50K, but obviously I recommend that you trade whatever you are most comfortable with. But the 50K is by far the most popular. So they're normally $167, but with the code GOONIE, GOONIE, you'll get 80% off. So it'll cost about $34, $35, something like that. And then from there, if you pass the test, then you could go to a PA account. And then if you trade well on the PA account, that's where you can get real money. What is this right here? The compensation, their payouts are almost $80 million in the last 90 days. That's how much this company has paid out. Absolutely wild. With all that being said, dingity ding ding ding, the world's largest casino is now open. Best of luck to all. Play responsibly, and if not, have buttloads of fun. All right. What do we have moving? Coins over here. Hang on, I want to get up. How am I doing today? What are we up? Not much, actually. Pretty much exactly where I was yesterday because state is starting to I guess, add up. But you can see this one up 97%. So I'm up about, up 101%. So up about 12,000 there and up about 8,000 on this one. These are all calls that were put into the Discord as soon as the trade was made. It was made last Friday. This morning we're jumping 662. So looks like I got a runner on my hands, and hopefully the market keeps pumping. That's exactly why you should be in the Discord. And for those of you who have any questions about the Discord, who are curious if you should be joining or not, I did put together something with the Goonie team to better explain what the Discord is all about. So before you ask your questions, I think that this right here will answer everything you could possibly have on your mind about why you should join the Discord. That's pretty much it right there. That's my pitch for the Discord, basically. That's just, I think it explains why you should be in there, what you could do in there, the value of being in there. We put that together, and I think that's everything you could possibly have on your mind about said Discord. So if you want to join it up, use that code Goonie, Goonie, and you could get in for free. There you guys go. There you guys go. All right, let me look at the daily because I probably should start to know some levels that I want to target. We do. Okay, so the closest level is actually a downside gap fill, a little about 75 cents, 80 cents below where we are right now in the SPY to 542.28. We're trading at 543. The Qs also have a downside gap fill to 462.85. That's about $1.30 away ish. And then the Russell got actually really close. What was the low? 208.39. It was 1 cent away from getting that downside gap fill. So technically, out of the three we're watching, the SPY, the Qs, and the Russell, none of them have actually hit their downside gap fill quite yet. The Russell, IWM, was within a cent. So let's see how this all really starts to shape up on us today. We don't have that much data, but with the minimal data we have, let's just see how options are structuring themselves this morning. Here's a look at spot gamma options. There was a flow alert right at market open. We pumped for about the first minute 45. Now we're giving it back a little bit. Options are directly leading price today. Here's so this is the S&P 500 as an SPX, SPY, XSP, and then ES. These are the all 500 individual equities options, like kind of overlaid on top of each other. Then you have the NASDAQ, then you have just the Qs, and then we also have the Mag 7. These are all the ones that I like majorly pay attention to, and we're seeing a lot of similar movement. So a little bit of a pump, a little bit of a dump, and now we are pumping once again. The white line is the price line of whatever we're looking at. The green bars are the closest to expiration, as in for this Friday. If you're talking about something like the S&P 500, it would be the 0 DTEs. It's just the closest expiration. And then the purple and red, or the purple and, I don't know, off red, whatever you want to call it, that's all expirations put together. But what we're doing is measuring the delta. And for any of you who aren't the most familiar with options trading, the delta movement is a measure of the bullishness or bearishness of the options market. So as it goes up, that's more positive delta, that's bullish. As it goes down, that's more negative delta, that's bearish. You can get positive delta in one of two ways, and it is slightly different, but for the point of this conversation, we could pretend it's the exact same thing. But you get positive delta by either buying calls or selling puts, and then obviously vice versa. If you are buying puts or selling calls, that is negative delta. There is a slightly different impact on the market, and that relates to the dealers and what they have to do, whether you're buying or selling. But for the point of this conversation, just think that as delta goes up, things are more bullish. As delta goes down, things are more bearish. And right now, speaking of going down, we got that downside gap fill on the SPY. We hit the high value from yesterday and the closing value. We hit the high value and the closing value on the Qs. And right now, we're definitely seeing a little bit of bearishness. GME, anyone? Jay, we're at the point in time where actually no one gives a shit about those pump and dumps anymore. How are they even doing? Oh, wow. Surprise, surprise. Not good. not good. Even worse. FFI, out of all of those, out of AMC, out of GME, FFIE is looking the worst, which is like, you got to say something there. Jesus. FFIE, the fact that people somehow thought this was anything but an absolute trash, just a dumpster fire of a situation, blows my mind. But no, they're all just great ways to lose money. And they're phenomenal ways to lose money. Puts on FFIE, I don't even think it's that liquid. I actually think plays like FFIE is just, you just don't even think of it. I think the play is literally a non-play. Yeah, it was one thing to short it up here when it ripped to like $3. But even that, I don't know if I would have played puts. There's liquidity issues, blah, blah, blah. Probably just straight up shorting it would have been optimal. Now, I mean, trading at 17 cents. It's trash. It's absolutely trash. If you still care about AMC and GME, I feel bad for you. The people who still care about it, I actually legitimately do feel bad for them. A lot of them seem to be particularly mentally deranged and or just stupid. It feels like, I don't know. It just feels like it's dumb people who are getting taken advantage of. I don't know. It's kind of like a sleazy thing where you see people still making videos, trying to hype it up, still trying to make it a thing. And the only people that it's resonating with are people that, like I said, they're deranged, they're part of a cult and they don't realize it, or they're just so stupid they don't realize it. Overall, it's a sad situation. It is legitimately a sad situation that there's people now at more than halfway through 2024 who still talk about it, think that it's going to somehow be like their financial savior in one way or another. It is sad. It is legitimately sad. How do I feel about Mara? I figure most people who like Mara are basically just betting on Bitcoin, so just go buy Bitcoin. If you like Mara because you think it somehow has a unique business proposition within the world of mining and can outperform other miners, that's a different conversation. But most people that I talk to who end up, they're like, no, I just like it because I like Bitcoin. Well, if that's true, go get Bitcoin. It doesn't make sense. I am receptive to the idea that there are some decent arguments to get certain miners if you think they can beat out the other Bitcoin mining operations, but most people don't have that argument. Most people are saying, oh, I just like Bitcoin. Well, if you like Bitcoin, go get Bitcoin. If you like Mara or Riot or Hut, you should like them because you have a thesis on why they're better in the business sector relative to their competitors. Are all of your videos promoting those strat stocks still up on your page? I never promoted anything. Do you mean covered news of what was happening? It's interesting when you have, I don't know, dimwit people like this one, Pat on the like that. Like, you can't name one time where I was like, oh, you should buy AMC, because I never said that. I covered it because it was a good active trade. And guess what? It did go up a lot and it made a lot of people money. But never, ever, ever was I like, nope, you just got to keep holding. You got to keep holding. I never said that because inherently I never believed it. It was an active trade. There was huge news. I obviously understand that I got really, really big off of covering that news, but there's a gazillion things going on every single day in the market. There's a lot of other exciting things to pay attention to. So because something was a good trade at one point in time, that doesn't make it eternally a good trade. This isn't the Matt Kors investing show. This is the Matt Kors trading show. We trade. There's a huge difference between trading and investing. And then there's people like Pat in here who, for some reason, they just don't have enough neurons in their brain working to understand the difference. If you are incapable of intaking new data and new information and updating your outlook on that, you will not survive in the world of trading. You won't. So at one point in time, based on all the current information, GME, a phenomenal trade. AMC, a phenomenal trade. You could even argue certain things like FFIE at one point in time, a phenomenal trade, but that doesn't make it a phenomenal investment. AMC, never a quality investment. GME was never a quality investment. Those things can change in the future, but based on all the information currently, and also just in this case, historically, they were never good investments. They were good trades, and it's too many people conflating the difference between a trade and an investment. I find that the easiest way to really get your mind wired for that is to legitimately have different accounts. You have some accounts for your trades, and then you have a different account for your investing. And in your mind, you should never conflate those two, ever, ever, ever. But I don't know. As long as there's people like Pat in the stock market, there's always going to be easy trades because there's always going to be suckers. So like in a weird way, like I feel bad for people like Pat because like financially he's probably getting destroyed. And that's a sad thing. And there's a lot of people getting financially destroyed, but on more of like a hardcore competitive thing, it's good for other people like you and me, where you're wondering of like, oh, okay, is the world of trading going to get so good that we're always competing against like superior AI trading methodologies, and then we're kind of like the sucker in the room? And no, there's always suckers in the room, and this example would be Pat. So as long as there's weak players as us of traders, that's good. Think about it this way: like if you're playing poker, yeah, you could refine your skill set and end up paying against people like Negrano or Ivy, or you could play at a really, really weak table because you're still winning because money's still money. And folks, like as they say in poker, it's going to be true in trading as well. If you're looking around and you don't know who the sucker is, it's probably going to be you. It's just, that's where we're at. NVIDIA taking a bit of a hit, coin taking a bit of a hit. I'm seeing a lot of red on my watch list right now. And the ones that are green are just, it's because the gap up and we're coming back down. The SPY below its high value and its closing value from yesterday. The Qs below the high value and the closing value from yesterday. I was very much hoping for opposite movement. Very much hoping. How about Mullen? How many reverse splits can they do legally? There's no legal cap on reverse splits. Well, mathematically, eventually you'll just run out of shares. But then you could always, I don't know how, there's no, I guess to answer your first question, there's no legal cap. If you have enough shares, you can keep reverse splitting. That's completely allowed. Mathematically, eventually you're going to what? Like if you keep reverse splitting, you eventually go down to having a share. So that could be problematic. But then I don't know enough about their current fundamental situation or financial situation of if they're allowed to dilute anymore. But Mullen is like FFIE. It's just another shitty play that people got all fired up about for like seemingly no reason. There's too many people pitching this concept of like, oh, this is your financial savior. Like you just got to buy it and wait and hold. And somehow if you have enough faith, it's going to work for you. Faith, it doesn't work in trading. Faith is not a thing in like this is an emotionless mechanism of what's the Warren Buffett quote of the market? It switches money from the impatient to the patient. That's all it is. It's people who have a well-defined system and they're like, I guess they're disciplined enough to stick to said system day over day over day. And then they just trade that and then they just have it. And they just sit there. There's not really room for emotion in this game. There are people who are emotional traders and investors, and then those are also the same people that given enough time, they blow out. You developed your own algorithm that you use for futures, is that right? How much would you say that algo is worth if you were to sell it? I have no idea. I mean, I've created many. I mean, I've been in the world of algorithmic trading now for years. I've made many. I don't have just like a singular one. Some of them are fully automated, like they do everything. Other ones, like there's a little bit of manual intervention. Some of them I have to watch even more. But I'm like, what people don't talk about is if you have a good algorithm that is profitable, you would never want to sell it because it's effectively your golden ticket. So it doesn't really make sense because if you start to sell it, then that edge, that whatever that you're taking advantage of, that inefficiency within the market, then if other people are trading it, it gets exploited and then it disappears. So whenever you're seeing someone sell an algorithm, it's one thing to sell it if it's like capped and they're like, hey, we're only giving it to X amount of people because only a certain amount of money can be behind it. Like, okay, cool. I've seen that before. But I see like a lot of these gurus and gurus selling like a full system all the time to as many people as they can. And then it's just like bullshit because you eventually lose your edge. So I've never really been interested in selling it. So I don't know. I can't answer it. I don't know how to, I guess, like predict its worth or anything, because like that was never the goal. The goal was for me just to create systems and methodologies that make me money, because if I do it right, I make money. There's no sense in selling it because I have the thing that's making me money. I think you could argue that maybe there's some in-between stuff, like you could black box it, and as long as you're not really giving it away, or maybe like lease it. I don't know. I've seen interesting things in the middle, but to be completely honest with you, I've never considered it. I've never done it myself. Maybe at some point in the future, I'll think about it. But for right now, I'm more interested in just developing my own and trading my own. Like that's where I'm at in my life right now. Obviously, the better these systems are, the more worthwhile they are. It's highly, highly competitive in the world of quant trading, and you have like corporate espionage and stealing ideas and secrets and data sets, and that stuff does happen, and you hear about it, and there's lawsuits and people getting quants getting poached from one shop to another shop, and it gets all messy, and it's a big, big deal. But obviously, I'm not like at that level. Like I'm not even close. Hypothetically, though, I just answered it. I have no idea how I would price it. Or any of them. And especially because like I run so many different ones. Like some, like I said, are fully automated, and I'll trade those on my own like long-term account. So I have like fully automated investing ones, and that's just like basically data mining fundamental criteria. Then I have ones that like it helps me with the entries and the exits, but I still have to do a lot of work. That's what I trade like Apex in the morning on, where like, okay, it gets me in and out at the exact right time, but sometimes it takes like user, I guess, like intervention in the middle if things like start to get a little bit funky on it. So I think there's a huge gradient of how stuff can actually go in that world. But I'm not at the point. I don't know. I'm far more interested in developing my own right now than I am like wondering about like the business of selling them. But I'm really, my major interest is in the concepts of what are profitable systems, and like kind of building that out and doing the data crunching and like kind of iterating over it with the people in the Discord of like, what do we think about XYZ? Then you get the data, you backtest it. Is that good? Writing the code to actually do the execution and whatnot for you, that's kind of like the easy part. That's the boring part. That's not the fulfilling part. The fulfilling part is coming up with the idea and backtesting it and doing robustness testing, variance testing, Monte Carlo testing, checking it in different regimes, whether it's before or after the markets went digital, whether it's different forms of seasonality, whether it's different months, weeks, day of the week. Like there's a gazillion things that you could iterate over. And that's the tough part. It's just like, are you creative enough to come up with an idea that like you could test in the market? And it's infuriating because you'll test 99 things and they will not make money, but you do it because that 1 in 100 that you do find can make you a lot of money. I mean, that's like you guys saw it, but right here, this Apex stuff that I did, I mean, how many months was I doing it before I was at all profitable? I started it we're actually almost coming up on a year, because I heard about it in August. I made an account in like September, October, started taking it more seriously in December. And then from that time period, from November to like March, April, it was trash. I mean, I was streaming it to you guys and you guys saw it. Like I was continually losing, and it was not going well at all. And that just is like that particular process. That's how long it took me. It actually took me a long time to figure that one out. And I mean, for those of you who've been here for the show for quite a bit, you kind of saw that whole experience of where it was absolute trash, blowing out. Then there was like little flashes of like, oh, it's working. And then it would crash. And then there was more flashes of it working. And then eventually it kind of like inverted. And as I figured more out, and now I'm at the point where it's just like, literally I'm looking for like little optimizations to make it better. But it was a multi-month battle. And at first it's like obviously kind of like scary because at first all you do is see red. And I guess you could argue that maybe it's smarter to just, I don't know, trade it with paper trading and not bet real money, but that's not exactly my style. Are you familiar with the Kelly criterion equation? If so, do you use it for the algo? I am yeah, Kelly criterion is basically, for those of you who haven't heard it before, it's like how much you should bet. It's like a bet sizing thing. I don't use it on futures, but I do use it on options. The way I don't use it on these accounts because it's not my money and the math behind it is slightly different. But on my own funded options accounts, when I'm trying to figure out my bet size, yes, that's what Kelly criterion is for. So I'm very familiar with it. I mean, like that's a well-known concept, not only in the world of betting, but also statistics. So, I mean, parts of my stat classes back when I was working on my master's program, which I never finished, not the full class, but part of it, like we just went into Kelly criterion. It's useful. Like every trader and gambler and bettor should know Kelly criterion, whether you're betting on sports, whether you're betting on the market, whether you're, I don't know, any form of betting, you should be very, very familiar with Kelly criterion. It'll basically just help you quite a bit from a mathematical standpoint from blowing out. All right, I haven't done anything yet because I'm still seeing, well, literally as I said that, we are doing something now.
Target filled.
180, 180, 180, 180. It traded this breakdown right here. You can see on Super Trend. Where was it? 321, 321. Right there. I did not make the Super Trend indicator. It's a well-known indicator. Anyone who tells you they made it. It's actually it's a basic indicator. It should be on any of your charting or whatever. But anyway, if it's red, obviously the trend is bearish. And obviously if it goes flat, it's bearish, but no momentum. And then it switched over to bullish, and it was bullish for a little bit, bullish, no momentum. And as soon as it switched back bearish, I took a short position on 4 of the 20 counts, 180, 180, 180, 180, all locked in. So let's see how this actually goes. Let's see how this actually ends up going. But that was, I mean, you guys have seen that before. Like I've said, if you've been watching my development on Apex over the past X amount of months, it went from being absolutely horrible, blowing out, losing a bunch of money. And then finally I started to refine and iterate and continue to refine and continue to reiterate. And I still have bad days, of course. Like there's no such thing as like a absolutely perfect system that makes money. But it's more of coming back to Kelly criterion of, in the long run, it's the law of large numbers. Are you going to be profitable? And I believe what I'm currently doing in the long run is profitable. I believe that. What? Give me a hoe if you got your funky bus fare. Chris, what does that mean? Give me a hoe if you got your funky bus fare. Chris, I now have a lot more questions than I do answers. As in, I have no answers, and I am chock full of questions. Give me a hoe. Like a hey-o, or like just a ho, H-O, like a ho, 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 ho. If you got your funky bus fare. What? Chris? Double Dutch bus? Now I'm confused. I'm thoroughly confused about what is going on. All right. We were maybe double bottoming, but it'll take time. Meta is catching a nice bid. Nvidia is doing the opposite. Meta is taking off. How's Microsoft doing? No, it doesn't look the best. Netflix is looking decent. I guess we could throw Bitcoin up here. Bitcoin is getting hit now on the 1 minute. All right, time to check out options. Not so good. So the equities tried to bounce a little bit there, but this might leave a little bit. Mag 7's getting hit right now.
Order submitted.
Getting hit. What are we? 322. 322, 322, 322. Once again, super trend is bearish. I trade with the trend on these accounts, and then I just have a bunch of other criteria, and we'll see how it goes. I'm not the biggest fan. This, if I were to change one thing about how this works, like conceptually, I would do a check to ensure that we are not taking a trade within X amount of points of the extreme of the day.
Order submitted.
In that particular case, it didn't really matter because I was able to lock in some money, and then it instantly traded a bunch more. What is happening? How bad is this market getting
Target
today?
filled.
Oh, we are dumping, folks.
Target filled.
Target filled. Target filled. Target filled. Target filled. All right, we're in the middle. We're in the middle of all the craziness. Let's see how bad this does or doesn't get. Let's go to the 100 tick. Order filled. Order filled. Order filled. Order filled. Come on.
Target
there
filled.
we go.
Target filled.
Target filled. Target filled.
Target filled.
Target filled. Target filled.
Target
filled. Target filled. All right, looks like we have one more to go in terms of these live positions. One more to go. So a lot of these already locked in. This one right here, 328, is the current live one. I zoomed in on the 100 tick, but I'm actually using something closer to the 500 or the 1,000 on this particular account. I forget which one off the top of my head, but why is it still in the position? Because the super trend is still down. The EMA is still pointing to the downside. I trade with the trend. If it does revert enough, it'll get out of the position and now it'll suffer a loss, but sometimes that's trading. Other times part of the trading is the current trend prevails and you end up making money, which looks like what is about to happen right here. So this one currently has a locked in $100.
Target filled.
And now it has a locked in 200. So it's that easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more accounts to go. So you guys saw it at the start of the stream. I had traded none out of the 20, and now I've traded a full 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4 more to go. And hopefully it goes well. Hopefully it goes well. All right, where are we at? I'm seeing a little bit of a vomit here. I might be taking my money because these are up 54% and 54%. I might be taking this money if we don't see a bounce somewhat soon. It's not 10 a.m., so I'm trying to still just give it a second to breathe because it is a swing trade. It's not a day trade. So I try to not get caught up in the minutia of this like minute to minute movement. But I would feel better if I just saw giant green bars on the 1 minute, but I'm just trying to give it a second. Trying to give it a second to breathe. Trying to give it a second. Right. What were you guys saying about these mics? Saying? I don't understand what's happening here. I don't get it. Not in the slightest. But things aren't looking the best right now. All right, what are we missing? While July CPI inflation is set at 2.9%, inflation is much higher in many basic necessities. Car insurance is up 18.6%, transportation is up 8.8%, hospital services are up 6.1%, homeowner inflation is up 5.3%, rent is up 5.1%, electricity is up 4.9%, car repairs up 4.6%, and food away from home, as in restaurants, is up 4.1%. In January, since January of 2020, the US dollar has lost 1/4, 25% of its purchasing power. Inflation has effectively been compounding over 3 consecutive years, and prices are still rising. Many basic necessities are now luxuries. 25% of your dollar.
Orders target filled.
Wow. Did it lock in? Or are we just trading again? 323, 323. Okay, locked in, and then we just have a little bit of a runner. We have a live one, folks. We have a live one. That's crazy. Since January of 2020, the US dollar has lost 25% of its purchasing power. That is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Are we locking in? Locking in, locking out. What are we doing? What are we doing? Come on, brother. Give me the money. Give me the money. Show me the money. Show me the money. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Monkey, 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 monkey. Sorry, I was watching on the plane ride. I watched 21, so I'm really in the blackjack mood. Oh, come on. Don't do this to me. This is why I'm saying the one thing that I could do to improve my overall Apex system is ensure that I'm not at an extreme of the day. That would be the one thing, because it took a short there, but if it waited a little bit, it would have had a better setup, less risk. Could have waited till right here. Instead, it did it within like very, very close to the extreme. And I got lucky. It did lock in some. That's what this blue, the pink is your entry, the blue is your exit. So it got in, locked in some, and now it just has like this one little runner on. But still, I think it could be improved. I do. And before, when we were chatting about it, it's just that's the optimizations that I'm still interested in doing. But other than that, I mean, I think this thing is like 95% done, 97% done. 95, 97, something like that. Meta, Bitcoin is getting nailed. Ever since market open, Bitcoin is nothing but down. Nothing but down. Nothing but down. All right, let's check in. Let's do this over here so I can watch these. So they're losing a bit of their value right now. Do I just want to lock this in? It was up 20K. They're now up 13K. So I'm giving some of it back. If this keeps vomiting, I might just take this money. Am I being smart? Am I being scared, or am I being smart? Am I being scared, or am I being smart? Technically, my risk has not been hit yet, if we want to get technical about it. But I am, I guess, getting scared by the fact that it just isn't going my way. Things to consider. I feel like I'm anchoring it to where I was yesterday, but in reality, my system says to continue to hold. So when I talk about sticking to your system, I mean, obviously that is incredibly important. Incredibly important to stick to said system, but I'm just seeing this is just getting shit on. Mag 7, maybe we're turning around a little bit. S&P 500 equities, a little bit of a bounce. Maybe we're turning. I don't know. The SPY and the Qs are real close to their low of the day. Real close. The 5-minute is bearish. The 10-minute is bearish. The 30-minute on the S&P 500 is holding. 5-minute bearish, 10-minute bearish on the NASDAQ. The 30 minutes at its test territory. We either want to bounce right here off of this 50 EMA region, or we want to get the hell out because a vomit could be coming. You never know. I'm seeing Bitcoin get hit real hard. Real hard. What is happening today? Is it because of what we were just covering, that some of these subsectors are still pretty brutal? Who freaking knows, man? July CPI inflation rate falls to 2.9%, below the expectations at 3. Core CPI fell to 3.2, in line with expectations. This marks the first month with CPI inflation below 3% since March of 2021. The first rate cut since 2020 is coming next month. The question right now, is it 25 bips or is it 50 bips? It's about a 50-50 shot. It's about a 50-50 shot. MetaMask launches a debit card in partnership with MasterCard. Fed Chair Powell has said, if the Fed waits for 2% inflation to cut rates, we have waited for too long.
Zero money in investments. The Democrat VP nominee, Tim Walz, has zero money in investments. What do you make of someone trying to run the country with zero investment acumen?
I didn't know anything about the VP candidate, Tim, and so I did some digging last week. I got the data last Friday. He is not a good manager. If you look at his stewardship of his state, I Minnesota, it's been not good. And I'll tell you how I measure it. Look, and don't people say, oh, you're partisan, you're partisan. No, I'm not. I'm looking at the track record of an individual who came into a state and wiped out job creation. He wiped out job creation in professional, in manufacturing, in accounting, in every subcategory you look at. Those jobs moved to South Dakota and North Dakota.
Is this true?
The South Dakota job rate right now is 4 times that of Minnesota. Minnesota only creates jobs in services that are funded by the government, healthcare and social services. Every other sector is in decline.
We got
He's
those
also
downside
added a
gap
surcharge
fills
of 1%, 100 basis
from
points,
this morning.
on top of 9.8% taxes on individuals that are retiring. And of course they're leaving the state in droves. In drove. And he's the best governor for
In
Texas,
drones.
for Florida,
I
for
like
North
that
and
one
South
better.
Dakota, but not for Minnesota.
And that's exactly right. That's where they all went, Kevin.
Things are trying to bounce a little bit in tech, but we're seeing energy try to pop, giving it back. Financials try to pop. Utilities, industrials, healthcare, consumer staples, consumer discretionary. Consumer discretionary is getting hit right now. Oh, we're seeing a bit of positive flow come into the options market now. It's not vomiting the way it was all morning. Price is telling a slightly different story. I'm still in this trade. My final runner, you can see it on the screen, trying to just lock this bad mamma jamma in. Come on, give me the money, break it down. I might even be able to get out for break even. It's already locked in 100, but this open position is causing me a bit of turmoil. I think it should be locking in pretty soon here, though. Come on. Come on. And then I still have those 4 to trade. This one must have been a double trade. Come on. We're flirting with this break even. Come on. There we go. Back. I'm seeing green. I'm seeing a little bit of green. Just lock it in, brother. Lock it in, brother. Probably should have taken that. If I'm being honest with all of you. Probably should have taken that trade while it was being presented to me. I'm being 100% honest. Am I going to get lucky? Am I going to get lucky? What is the SPY's looking weak? Lower highs, lower lows all day. Meta was the one strong one, and now that's just even going sideways. It is still technically green. Microsoft's technically green. Netflix is having a decent day. Amazon is in the green, but this is not what you really want to be seeing. Nvidia was vomiting. Ugh. All right, we're almost here. Once again, this is the futures market. So I'm trading the NASDAQ futures contract. That's what the NQ in the top of this screen is. NQ is the futures contract for the NASDAQ 100. So the minute to minute movement is going to look exactly like the Qs or NDX. I mean, they're all measuring the same thing. All measuring the exact same thing. What are we doing here? Potential double bottom? The old 10 in the morning double bottom? All right, let's clean this up a little bit. Oh, man. The price action by no means is looking good. I'm seeing, I was going to say at least some bullishness is coming in on options, but that's no longer true on the Mag 7. S&P 500 holding a bit better. We are seeing some strength in certain subsectors, but the tech sector is not having a good day. I'm just still waiting to lock in this final trade. Come on. Come on. Just a little bit more. Little bit more. This has been a fight today. This has been a fight. So the Qs are finding some support at 460.50. And then the SPY's just above 541. The options market. This is brutal. This is brutal right now. Brutal. I'm just so... It has to be these subsectors of inflation. That's the only thing that would really make sense to me at this point. Because inflation itself came in better than expected. So it must be probably shelter, transportation, certain services. The service sector, the inflation within the service sector is just proving to be absurdly sticky. How are bonds looking this morning? That's what maybe the culprit is.
Order target filled.
Well, and just like that, we're wrapping it up. This looks like it's the final trade of the day right here. We have
Target filled.
Boom. 20 for 20. You guys can see it. It's probably made about somewhere, I don't know. The biggest gain was 300. The smallest gain was 140, 20 accounts. That's probably somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000. And it's on this note that I don't know. I don't know if this will really make sense. So give me a second to try to better explain it. Going into today, I was bullish. I thought I had a good reason to be bullish. As soon as I saw that report, and the dollar's dropping right now, this makes no sense, dude. I thought I had a good reason to be bullish. I did. Because inflation came in lower than expected. When inflation comes in lower than expected, we tend to see the market absolutely rip. So in my mind, I was like, great, cool, awesome. And this kind of just shows you the power of how your own bias can get in the way. So even up until this point, if I'm looking at this, if I see this daily thing right here, I'm still seeing higher highs. I'm still seeing higher low. I'm seeing we're above the EMA. I'm still thinking I should be bullish because the price action on this time frame on the daily, it favors the bulls. We're getting a report yesterday, PPI coming in cooler than expected, CPI this morning coming cooler than expected. My entire bias is perfectly set up to be bullish. And this, in my mind, is the beauty of any system, is it doesn't care about your bias at all. It just cares about the incoming data. So this is why when you talk about, what is your favorite form of trading? Is it scalping? Is it investing? Is it this, that, the other thing? Whatever your favorite is, I would argue until I am blue in the face that it will be made better if you have an idea and then you have a system do it for you, because it takes you out of the equation. The weakest part of any trading system, methodology, framework is you. It's the human. It is not paying attention. It's a lack of discipline. It's a spike of emotions. No matter how you chop it up, the human is the weakest part of any trading system. You're never, ever going to be convincing me otherwise, because I've been trading long enough that I know that. I know that for a fact that it is you, the human, that is the worst part of any trading methodology. So today is a great example. I was absurdly bullish. My bias was bullish, and I thought I had good reason to be bullish. And yet, had I done that myself, my own discretion, I would have lost money. But instead, I take myself out of the equation. I've done a lot of back testing, and when certain situations happen, certain price action, I'm trend following. All of these trades, the thousands of dollars that I've made this morning, was all made off of a bearish trade, which is the opposite of my own bias on the day. As in, my bias was wrong, and my bias is commonly wrong. In fact, it's wrong 50% of the time. But then yet, if you just have a basic, this is absurdly basic. It helps me with my entries. It helps me with my exits. Of course, you could have far, far more complicated, legit algorithms. But even something as rudimentary as what I am doing right here, where it just helps me get in and helps me get out, and it's just literally trend following based off of the super trend. Oh, okay, cool. That's all it is. So whether you're into scalp trading, swing trading, options trading, investing, whatever form of trading you like the best, whichever makes the most sense to you, I would very, very much argue that will be improved if you have a system doing the actual execution for you, because it's removing your own lack of discipline and it's removing your own emotional issues. It's taking it out of the equation. So for that, had I just been doing my own trades this morning, what I would have done from a discretionary standpoint and my bias on the day, at 9:45, I would have taken a bullish position and I would have gotten absolutely steamrolled. That's what I would have done. And I would have, as you can see, if I was just manually trading the way I look at it, just taking in all this news this morning, here, let's look at NDX. I would have gone bullish somewhere in here. I'd have been like, nope, the market should be bullish. We already got the gap fill. It's time to bounce. I would have tried to have been bullish in here, and it would have cost me a lot of money. And maybe I would have been disciplined enough to get out as soon as a new low is broken. But whenever we get there, and I know we've all done it, so maybe I caught this bullish position. And then a couple minutes later, when I should have been getting out, I might have been like, you know what, let's just give it a second. And guess what? At this point in time, even though I hit my risk and I should have been out, I would still be in the trade. So that just shows you, like, your bias can be wrong, and even the best equations need to account for that. But in terms of emotionally being able to get out when you're supposed to get out, there's a good chance I would have overstayed my welcome, and I would still be in this long position that I should have already cut. My target, my risk would have already been hit. But if I were still in, and that's how you blow out an account, and I've done it many times before, and there's a good chance, as long as I continue to do discretionary trading, that I'll do it again in the future. It's just how it goes. It's just how it goes. I'm trying to sell Neuralink. No, I wish Neuralink would trade for me. You don't need Neuralink. You just need to write up a couple basic lines of code, and it can do everything for you. In fact, with NinjaTrader, when I'm trading on NinjaTrader with Apex's money, you actually can build out strategies that don't take any code. It's literally called Strategy Builder right here. I'm highlighting it on the screen. If you're trading on NinjaTrader, they do it and it looks something like this, and it's literally just like a click through. Like, you just like decide what you want, and you just go through all these things. You select what you want, and you could have a functioning strategy. You can have a functioning indicator. You can have a ton of different things. But back in the day, the only way to do it was to have some knowledge of code. But right now, with just obviously the broker space getting a bit more competitive, and also with the advent of AI and AI tools, it's as easy. Every single day, it gets easier to create your own trading systems and methodologies. It really, really does. Back when I first started this, there were like no resources whatsoever. I had to code every single individual line myself and figure it out, and it was an absolute gauntlet. And now, even if you do have to code it, you could go to an AI system and be like, yo, ChatGPT, like, build this for me. And now, once again, with the competitiveness of brokers, you have things such as StreetBeat, where you just literally talk into AI and it builds it out for you. You have things like NinjaTrader, where it's just like a drop, like kind of a selection process. You pick, and then you're done. It's as easy as it's ever been to be a systematic trader, and it's actually getting even easier every single day. So if you're interested in it, there is a bit of a learning curve. Like, I don't want to, I guess, act like you're going to be an expert systematic trader by like the end of today if you've never done it before. But it is as easy to learn it as it's ever been. And I highly recommend everyone checking it out, because in my career of trading, the only things that have ever worked for me to be consistently profitable are my systems. It's not my discretionary trading. My discretionary trading very much has boom and bust cycles. Like literally, I'm in the middle of one right now. I'll go up or down 50K like it's nothing. Boom or bust. Systematic trading is not like that. It's like exactly whatever you code it to do. So I don't know. If there's thoughts or questions, feel free to reach out to me. If you have like more specified questions, I'm more than happy. DM me on Twitter, DM me on Discord, email me, media@matthewkors.com. I'm more than happy to like give you a little bit more, I guess, like color to the situation of why I think everyone should be systematic trading. I'm using StreetBeat for my long-term portfolio, and it's amazing. It beats the S&P by a lot. Yeah, StreetBeat's phenomenal. I'm not like, they're not the partner of today's show or anything, but that's just another example of, if you want to get into the world of systematic trading, literally that's so comically easy to use. Just another easy thing that anyone can do. Can you make a system trade like that on NinjaTrader and then test it on a paper account? Yeah, in NinjaTrader, you would test it on what they call sim accounts, simulated, but yeah, it's literally exactly the same thing. You can have multiple sim accounts. The direct answer is yes, and you could do it relatively easy. Today is only Tuesday. It's not Tuesday. It's Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, Jader, just so you know. A little bit of some bids coming in. Oh, speaking of discipline, so even as we're talking about like whatever, Piper helping me doing all this stuff, You still have to have the discipline to shut it down. So right here, I see it bouncing. I'm like, oh, that'd be interesting. I might be able to make a trade. And I think, oh, maybe a quick $100 scalp here, $100 scalp on 20 accounts. That's $2,000. That's an easy scalp. And you do that. And the worst part about it is it works 95 out of 100 times. But that extra 5% of the time is where you get absurdly unlucky and you blow your account out, and the risk versus reward in the long term, it's just simply not worth it. Just because something works a lot doesn't mean that it's net profitable. And that's a very, very tough thing for our little monkey brains to understand, especially when it comes to the world of like weighing out risk and reward. So as I always remind everyone, the biggest tip I have for everyone in here is as soon as your stuff hits, as soon as you hit exactly what your system told you to do, you turn it down. Done. You exit out of the program. That is the biggest tip I could ever give you for being successful in Apex. Speaking of Apex, though, I requested, and today I think is the last day for them to respond, because we're getting into a whole nother. Here, let me log in. I think they were hoping that I would blow out my account so they didn't have to pay me, but little do they know that I'm the best trader who's ever walk this planet. Request payout. They're pending still. Yeah, pending. How many do I have pending? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 accounts at $2,000 each. That's $26,000 that I have pending right now. And I believe today is like the last day that they have to actually respond to me. Shut it down, come back in 6 months. For that stuff, no, because it takes quite a bit of manual intervention. I do have other systems in my, like Street Beat, I don't have to touch at all. Like Street Beat just does Street Beat's thing. But the Apex stuff, it's still, like, I have to monitor it. I would it would end horribly if I just like walked away. I do have some on other, like, I don't know. I have one crypto system that I just don't have to touch it. It's perpetually in. It's either always long or it's always short, and it's always just doing like a trend following thing. And that one, it runs by itself. I never touch it. Street Beat, I never touch. The Apex stuff, because it's like day trading, there are times where I very much have to intervene. And you guys have seen me do it. You guys have seen me do those types of things before where I'm like, should I like get involved? Like that type of a thing. It happens. All right, the question is the bottom put in? It is time to mark some of this out. Are we going to have the recovery of a lifetime today? I wonder if this is it. Did we literally just have some profit taking for the first 45 minutes? Let me check the options market. The Mag 7 is not looking good. Equities are not looking good. The Qs are flat. The NASDAQ is flat. But the Mag 7, it just keeps getting hit. You know, it's trying to bounce. And if this is the lowest delta of the day, it might be the lowest price point of the day as well. S&P 500 is catching some bullishness. And look we're starting to pop. This might be it right here. 10-12 might be the low of the day. NASDAQ is lagging behind because the Mag 7 is getting hit so hard, but the other aspects of the S&P 500, I mean, right here, you can see some bullishness in the options market. Would you say you are a better trader than Pelosi? No, I don't know if anyone's a better trader than Pelosi. As much as I have Skynet trading for me, I still have to make trades. She literally knows where things are going. She is the market mover. Oh, dude, this might be it. Look at this. This is crazy. Right here, options just out of nowhere, starting at 10:20. Some of the buy programs finally went on. That's interesting. 10:20 right here. Not the worst entry to get in had you purchased at 10:20, because then you have well-defined risk at the low of the day. The only thing that's like kind of messing this up is how weak the Mag 7 is. If this can stop, if this, like overall we are trending down, if we can see a pop in the Mag 7 options, I think there's actually a chance we take out the intraday high. If we don't see a pop in the Mag 7 options, it'll be extraordinarily difficult for that to happen. Extraordinarily difficult for that to happen. But the SPY is already getting back up to its closing value from yesterday. So in terms of my positions, I like it. I'm a fan. Excuse me, I'm just marking out the intraday highs and lows. All right, I'm setting up some alerts just so we don't miss anything. And then we'll do a little bit of price action review to try to, I don't know, see what in the world is going on. All right, the 5-minute was bullish, was bearish, and now we're still bearish, but it's coming back up to test. Same thing with the 10-minute. The 30-minute has remained bullish this entire time. With respect to the NASDAQ, it was bullish, then went bearish, and still clearly bearish. Same thing on the 10-minute. The 30-minute is in danger of legitimately breaking down. We're kind of right at its 50 EMA, so I'm watching that. Once again, the NASDAQ is definitely showing a bit of weakness relative to the SPY, which is a bit stronger. And you could even see that on the intraday chart. I mean, the SPY is already bouncing back up to its closing value from yesterday, while the Qs are literally $2 away from its closing value from yesterday. So the tech sector on a relative basis is a bit weak. It's a bit weak. All right, we're going to see how this plays out. I guess I could mark out some intermediate recovery spots just to give us something to really, I don't know. I see Meta getting hit. Dude, it should see the Mag right here on the Mag 7. Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla. They're just getting torched. Right here, we just saw a spike in volume. Obviously, it was bearish because someone is, what are they specifically do? They're selling calls and buying puts. It's the twofer. They're doing both. They just sold a bunch of calls. They bought a bunch of puts. The delta dropped, and then guess what? Price followed pretty much immediately. If tech can stop vomiting today, I think the SPY can actually keep pushing, and we might be talking about 444, 445. But that's a giant if, because on the flip side, if the Qs keep vomiting, we might be talking about the SPY closer to like 538, 539. So it's all going to be about tech today. Does tech stop vomiting? Basically, the sellers need to run out of room. Things don't bottom when buyers step in from a mathematics standpoint, from just the way markets work. They stop when selling stops. Which is a big difference. There's a big difference between buyers stepping in and then sellers just running out of steam, running out of things to sell. So that's what we're watching right now in the world of the Mag 7 is when is the selling going to stop? Because it is not really showing any signs at the moment, but hey, it can change on a dime. It can change on a dime. Yeah, the SPX is looking, even the SPX on the 1 minute, it's trying to convert back to being bullish while the NDX is still so obvious. It's been bear. Look at lower highs, lower lows. Tech is getting pummeled while the S&P 500, it put in a new high. The question is the next low. So we had lower highs, we had lower lows, and then all of a sudden at 1020, 1023, well, at 1020 options spiked. Price followed 3 minutes later. We took out the high, we put in a new high. So the question is, where's the next low going to be? And it's, I mean, we had just clearly NDX needs to get above 18,960 for this to have a fighting chance. Options has, this is disgusting. This is ugly. Tech options look like shit. S&P 500 on the other hand, though, trying to catch a second win. So first big win to the upside, and now we're trying to get another follow through as we speak. The individual equities not looking so good. The NASDAQ, the Qs, yeah, tech is just so weak. So weak. Patience. I see a lot of weakness in my watch list. Yeah, me too. It can turn on a dime, but right now, as you guys can see above my head, there's a lot more red than there is green. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because I see options starting to pour in right here. I would not be betting against the market right now. I would feel comfortable betting against the market if I saw these options once again dump, but I don't want to bet against the prevailing trend in options. I want everything to align. I want price action to align with options. When there's a mix match, I just wait. I just wait to see which one wins out. But if the question is, should you be arbitrarily short right now? No, look at options are going up. If you are going to be short, it's probably better to short the Qs, but still, where are we at on options there? See, options, well, that's not looking so good. They might be catching a little bit of a bid right now, but we'll see. But I see the SPY picking up. I see the Qs picking up. It was a soft inflation report, a cool inflation report. It's a weird It's a weird day. Strange day, if you will. But I do like how the S&P 500 saved itself at the 50 EMA. And even the NASDAQ. If it pumps a little bit, it could be right back on top. So I'm trying to give this a little bit of room to breathe. A little bit. And so I'm taking a risk. That's the world of trading. It's a risk reward. I'm taking the risk of giving it a room to breathe. It might bounce back and I might make more money, or it could continue to vomit and then I would lose. It's risk reward. That's all it is. And the best way I have found to manage that is by being as disciplined as you can to stick exactly to your trading plan. So I'm just going to let this stuff play out. Patience, patience, patience. The market, generally the people who win in the market end up being absurdly patient. Reddit's increased reliance on Google traffic has Wall Street anxious to see if visitors sign up. Google's live demo of Gemini ramps up pressure on Apple as AI reaches smartphone users. Do they have any videos of... The videos I saw were about how the demo did not go well. I guess there's no video in there. All right, what are we missing? Core U.S. inflation eases for a fourth month, ceiling Fed rate cut. Yeah, the question is 25 bips or 50 bips. Japan set for unusually competitive PM race. Yeah, the Prime Minister of Japan just stepped down while we were all sleeping. Musk's X reeks of failing social network syndrome. What the fuck is with Bloomberg? Isn't X the most popular social media, like in real time right now? And then Bloomberg is saying failing social media syndrome? Who the fuck is Dave Lee? This guy, there's no way this could be right. The late chief and author Anthony Bourdain used to talk of failing restaurant syndrome, the sad stench of an eatery going under. The clientele begins to change, staff morale drops, bills stop being paid. It's an affliction, Bourdain wrote, blah, blah, blah. I'm starting to think that could be said against X. Is this the definition of gaslighting? I don't understand. Isn't their numbers at an all-time high? The whiff of failing social network syndrome gets stronger by the day. Advertising revenue has fallen off a cliff. Commercial deals have collapsed, and regulators are closing in with very real threats of catastrophic fines. A former Twitter exec had called for Musk's arrest for stoking unrest in the UK. The company has skipped paying rent on its headquarters, so workers are moving into cheaper offices in San Jose. Two recent senior departures followed the flurry of talent walking out the door, while others who were unfairly fired are winning compensation. Musk's pledge to rid the network of bots has failed. A promise that X would have been significant banking app by the end of the year has failed to even produce a launch date. His plan to turn X into everything app has materialized and never will. X is now the full flailing about stage of I don't know. This is seemingly a very tainted way to look at it. Oh, nope, we're breaking. I thought that was going to be the alert for a recovery, but no, the Q's just hit a new intraday low. And guess what? Options dumped, dude. The Mag 7 dumped. Absolutely dumped on that. Yeah, the equities are dumping. The SPY even took a hit there. I thought that was going to be a positive bullish alert. Not the Qs are. It's just the Mag 7 is just getting slaughtered today. Getting slaughtered. All right. On that note. Hang on. I am working to put Piper in here. Fired a little bit ago. I'm slow on this one today. I personally haven't traded this yet. Wasn't the biggest fan. All right. If you're in the Discord, I did put in the wrong date, though. Today is the 14th, not the 13th. All right. Just updated the date. This is not good, team. Holy shit. Wow. Wow. Oh, what do I want to do? How do I want to handle this today? All right, I'm trying to slap an order in. Oh, just got filled, I think. Let me double check. Yes, it did. My positions got filled. All right, let me screenshot this and throw it into the Discord quick. So at this point, I'm pretty much done on the day. Obviously, I might have to do some risk management, but I made all of my futures trades. I made my 1-0 DT options trade. And now it's just potential risk management. And I think that's about it. We'll see how this goes. We'll see how it goes. All right. That's in there. Jeez, dude. These are... Look at options, man. They just getting pummeled. The Mag 7's getting hit hard. Equities got hit hard. NASDAQ was hit, bounced back. The Q's, similar situation. S&P 500. So the delta, even though price made a fresh low, the delta double bottomed on the S&P 500. On the Mag 7, it got worse, like legitimately worse. We'll see. Nope. All right, let's map out these fresh lows. Wow. Well, what in the world went wrong, folks? That's brutal. Do I need to cut my swing positions? Like, this is getting bad enough that I might actually have to cut my swing positions. Or do I want to risk it and let them breathe a little bit? Do I want to risk it? Risk it for the biscuit. They're still all in the green. Obviously, from the high yesterday, I'm giving some of this money back, but it's still up. I've given back just over half of my unrealized profit. So still in the green. How do I want to handle this? Well, now we're bouncing a little. I'll give it a second. What I'm concerned about is the 5-minute, the 10-minute are red, and the 30-minute is now testing right here as of 10:30, a potential breakdown. The 5-minute, the 10-minute, and the 30-minute is all in the like bearish territory on the NASDAQ. So it's one thing if the NASDAQ can recover quickly. Okay, cool. Different story, fake out. That's brutal, but it happens. The SPY, a little bit of a different story. We'll see. I have alert set for if we make a fresh low. I just want to take this. I could just lock in about 9.5K. I am getting, the major thing that I'm looking at is I don't like how the options are looking on the Mag 7. I don't like that. I mean, is it just going to dump again? Maybe I give it till lunch. Maybe I just give it a second to breathe and just see. I'm surprised that there's this much selling given the fact that the report came in cool. Maybe this is one of those things like out of sight, out of mind. Dude, how is that not scary? Oh, options are coming up a little bit now in the Mag 7. I thought we were about to puke again the way we've done before, but maybe. Maybe not, though. The price action looks like shit. Nvidia's flat. Meta's down. Everything's red. Everything over here is red. How many do I have? 25. Yeah, my swing positions, I'm going to lock this in. About, I think, 8K. 9K, something like that. Okay, I'm flat. Those swing positions. So I'm flat on that. I could always re-enter. It's just, if this day gets worse, I don't want to risk going red. I'd rather take my small green rather than blowing this out. So I think about 8 to 9K I made. I was up 20, so that's a bummer to give back more than half. But hey, money's money. It was a green trade. Obviously, 8K, 9K means a lot to me. I think it means a lot to a lot of people, so I'm still stoked. I'm still stoked. But I can't take the risk of this continuing to vomit throughout the day, because then it's one thing to give back profits, but to go from a profitable position to a losing position, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it in the slightest. Someone said a tweet from Chris. Where was Chris? Oh, here. Couldn't see it for a second. Dunkin' Donuts. I waited to release the video hoping for an apology or action from Dunkin' Donuts. Nothing but crickets. So I trash all my Dunkin' Donuts.
Hey, I'm Chris Pavlovsky, CEO of Rumble. We're a public company on the NASDAQ under ticker RUM. Today, I released a damning email from Dunkin' Donuts and Inspired Brands. In that email, they discriminated against half the country by saying they will not advertise on any platform with right-wing culture. So I came home and I went in my drawer and look what I found. Dunkin' Donuts. And I have the honor of taking this little tray and dunking it in the trash. I have no tolerance for Dunkin' Donuts when they're going to discriminate against half of America. Hey.
Dunkin' Donuts. What is this, the tag? Here, I'll retweet this out so you guys can do it. Let's make it a thing. Oops. Wait, where was it? Uh-oh. What? I keep losing it. Here we go. Repost. Nope. Quote. There we go. Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts. Here was the tweet. Second drop, we pitched Dunkin' Donuts and Inspired Brands because Rumble over-indexes with coffee consumption. The discrimination against right-wing culture inspired us to build Rumble 1775 Coffee, a coffee for all cultures, which is doing great, by the way. To be honest, I would be opposed to showing up on the current version of the platform. The right-wing culture on the site is too polarizing from a brand's suitability standpoint today, but we are open to continuing the discussion as the site evolves. I'm sorry to share that because I want to help. That was apparently from the ad reps for, I guess. All right. Are we bouncing? We bounced a little bit. A little bit. This is what I'm watching. My major watch is just, we already broke down on the 5-minute and on the 10-minute. Are we going to break down on the 30-minute? The NASDAQ broke down on all, the 5, the 10, and the 30. Broke down on all of those time frames. Jeez. How are the options looking? Mag 7. This is the major culprit. If it can get going, this has been the major watch of the days. If options can get going, there's a chance at recovery for sure. But if it just keeps getting pummeled, not so good. The S&P 500 individual equities bounced a little bit. There was an extreme move to the downside at 1035. But we'll see. Clearly, the bulls are not in control. I mean, all I see is lower highs, lower lows on the SPY, on the Qs. How's the Russell doing today? Same thing. Lower highs, lower lows. Ugh. Just vomited. Well, I feel like I did the smart thing. I think I did the proper a proper, just like risk reward. Granted, I gave back some of the profits, but I still locked in a winning trade, and that's honestly what I care about the most. Is was it green? What do we have? Crypto.com becomes the UEFA Champions League official cryptocurrency partner. Charlottesville's claim debunked by actors accused of spreading misinformation. All right, if they say so. Imagine tipping servers, me leaving a restaurant.
I'm not afraid to take a step.
I'm not a sugar daddy. Some of the internet, it's hilarious.
Today marks 24 days since Vice President Kamala Harris moved to the top of the ticket, and she still has not given an official interview or formal press conference. And she still has nothing on her website as far as what her platform, what she wants to do in the next 4 years should she win the White House. Today marks 24.
That's crazy. Insane. This is downtown Asheville, North Carolina. For Trump, black. He's.
This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances. This is an incredible day. This is just extraordinary.
She talks so much without saying a single thing. Like, how does a person word vomit that much and not actually say anything? I hope she does do an interview, because I think we all deserve an idea of like what her plans are. Well, that person looks scary. What is with that chick's ass out? I think it's like a butt slapping competition. Very confusing. Bouncing a little bit here. Hang on. What are we doing? All right, I want to set up some alerts. We might get some reversal alerts in here. I got to be on my toes. If I have to bet, I bet something's coming in on options. Yeah, options are picking up. Okay. Interesting. We might begin the old razzle dazzle switch. The old Kansas City shuffle. The Russell's still weak. If you're trying to be bullish, probably stay away from the Russell. Clearly weak. But the best bounce we're actually seeing in the SPY. The SPY is almost back to green, which means I could take some of the profit that I locked in this morning and kick it even further out. Give myself a different strike and more time. Maybe not the worst idea. I don't know. What do you guys see? This is not proving to be the easiest day by any means. Definitely not proving to be the easiest day. Why do stupid people rise to the top? Because stupid people put them there. Remember, what can be unburdened by what has been applies to investing. Feels that way. What do I want to do here? Are the options really going to come in this hot? Mag 7 starting to pop, folks. We might be seeing the switch here. All right. I think I might have to do a little bit of risk management. Today is the 14th, right? I believe it's the 14th all day. The Qs might be recapturing here. Huh. Why is this order not going through? Oh, literally speak of the devil. Speak of the devil. All right. Let me close this trade out. All right, I'm trying to update. All right, just got out, and I'm just trying to flip to this other side. Am I saying that Piper is wrong? I mean, Piper's an end of day thing. Like, you only know at the end. I'm a little bit more, like, I guess, hands-on, because I don't play the exact alignment levels. I play it personally a little bit differently, because I'm able to manage it throughout the day. So I play a little bit big, and I play a little bit of a different strike, and I guess that's just like a personal thing with it. All right, so I had to lock in one little loss there, but what do I want to do now? I see the Russell is still getting hit. How bad is the Russell? Oh, the Russell's giving quite a bit of it back. Jeez. All right. I might have to do new swing positions, buy myself more time, and play different strikes. But we'll see. We'll see. Man, options really picked up. Something at 1035 just started to rip. This is for the individual equities. And then if you look at the Mag 7 here, also ripped. We're coming right back up. Obviously, 542, incredibly important for the SPY. That was yesterday's closing value. We dipped, then we struggled, then we came down, it got rejected, bounced right back up to it. If the SPY can get on top of 542, which will probably happen, also if the Qs can recapture 460, 150, could be interesting. Could be interesting. All right, how do I really want to play this, though? I could take some of my profits. Take some of my profits. Buy options. I need to punt these a bit harder. Bit harder. All right, got those. Good. I am just going up the chain and farther out in time, because I think one of the biggest issues that people really have in options trading is not giving themselves enough. Not giving themselves enough. All right, looks like we are recovering. Intraday recovery, the SPY right back up to this. We took out the high. You could really see this on the 1 minute, but right here, lower highs, lower lows. Then we put in a higher high, but the next major swing low was lower, so we got that expanding thing. But now since then, we just took out these recent highs, so it's just going to, I don't know, you could argue the lower there, but this might be just like some exhaustive sell-off, and now we're bouncing already back up. Inherently, if you have, by definition, if you have a fake out breakdown, that is by definition then bullish, because they try to push it below, quickly bounce right back up, took out a recent high. It's not the easiest thing to trade because your risk is kind of wide, but the fact that they tried to push the selling stopped and it reverts back out to take out one high, two high, and potentially on the way to this. I mean, it's the old switcheroo. The old switcheroo. All right. Cool beans, cool beans. Oh, and let me post this in here. So I made completely new swing positions that doesn't really have the most to do with the ones that I locked in the profit on today. But yeah, like I said, I locked in about 8K on those, so I'm happy. And then if you're in the Discord, I'm putting in my new swing positions right now. Cool. Cool beans. Cool beans, cool beans. Cool beans, cool beans. All right, we did that. Up a little bit. And let's see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Where are we at? Oh, we don't have that much time. Today flies by. Did you guys send in things to react to? I always appreciate it when you guys do that. Oops, hang on. All right, let's see what you guys have here. What is this in? Just in, 3 politicians have violated the Stock Act. $2.7 million worth of trades have been filed too late past the 45 days. The fine per filing, $200. A speeding ticket in New York, $250. It's literally more expensive to speed than it is to break the law as a sitting politician. Wow. The politicians who violated include Stephen Lynch, Moskowitz, McCall, John Joyce, Haggerty, Kasten, and Stephanie Bice. Who else do we have? It also included Fetterman. We got another one. This time it's John Fetterman. He disclosed $520,000 worth of stock trades that violated the Stock Act. Did he care to comment? Probably freaking not. That is crazy. A $200 fine to be a sitting politician breaking trading laws.
General. And I can tell you that this ad is deceiving, to say the least. I remember this particular case where we did a drug cartel or a drug trafficking organization where we worked with DEA. And the issue was that in this particular situation, she showed up for a soundbite. She didn't shake anyone's hands, and she quickly left the briefing room. So for me in law enforcement to see my face and image along with my law enforcement counterparts being represented as standing alongside Kamala Harris was truly disheartening. We do not support Kamala Harris. She has a history of not supporting law enforcement. And I just wanted to come out and say that for me in Tulare County, the sheriff of Tulare County, looking out for victims, looking for someone who's going to support criminal justice and law enforcement, that is best represented by Donald Trump and not Kamala Harris. General.
Imagine being so angry that you take your time out to be like, no, I specifically do not support her. That's pretty savage. Oh, Pelosi. Breaking news. Representative Nancy Pelosi alluded to Joe Biden's signature being forged against his will during his dropout announcement. Nancy Pelosi, it didn't sound like Joe Biden to me.
I didn't accept the letter as anything but a letter. I mean, there are some people who were unhappy with the letter. Let me say, some said that some people were unhappy with the letter. I'll put it in somebody else's mouth. Because it was I don't even know, it didn't sound like Joe Biden to me. It really didn't. So
is she losing her mind?
I didn't accept the letter as anything.
Dude, she's losing it, man. She's losing it.
My entire For You page right now is presidential stuff and the campaigns being AI and what to believe and what not to believe. Just the other day, I received an email for a paid promotion, for me to make a video and post it on TikTok talking about the Democratic side. At the end of this email, it says, if you want to get things going, we'll send over an NDA for you to sign and we'll get started. I know a lot of people get their views and their opinions and their beliefs based off of what their favorite influencers are saying. Just know, they might have been paid to say the things they're saying. My entire For You page right now is...
They've definitely been paid to say what they're saying. The harsh reality of mortgages that banks don't want you to know about.
I buy a house. I'm a simple person, a hardworking person.
Me and my wife are both working very hard. We buy a house. Let's say it's $150,000. And there's a 19% interest attached to that, which means that over a period of 30-year mortgage, I wind up paying for that house if I live, if I continue my job, if I'm employed over a period of 20 to 30 years. For a $150,000 house, I wind up paying at least $280,000 for that same house. Worst thing about it, I must pay off the interest before I pay the principal. So it means that for the first 15 years, I'm paying off what? Interest. I lose my job, my wife loses her job, I get sick, she gets sick. What happens? They come and take the house from me, even though I paid off $150,000, $160,000. They take the house, so that $150,000 was for nothing. Then what do they do with the house? Resell the house for more than what it was worth and give somebody else another mortgage for the house at maybe $220,000, and it just keeps on going. I buy a house. I'm a simple.
The brutal nature of loans. All right, here's the fake out. We pushed the new highs. So the market structure switched. It clearly switched. Lower highs, lower lows. They tried to fight, got smacked, lower lows. So we just kept with the overall trend. And then this right here, the fact that it pushed to a new low, and then on the very next push, we took out the recent highs. This is a fake out breakdown. This is a flush. This is clearly a bear trap. Now, will it hold? I don't know. But the bears who chased this down got their faces absolutely clobbered. And then the NASDAQ, same thing. Lower highs, lower lows. They push it down, make fresh lows. They take it out. And look at, they're just now walking it back up. And if you need more proof of it, look at the options. Down, down, down. Then something switched right here at 10:35. I can show the exact moment that the buy algorithm is turned on, and they are buying like no other. That's for the Mag 7. And if you want the individual equities for the S&P 500, all 500 laid over, same thing. 10:35, buy algorithm switches on, and it just rips. Just absolutely rips. Absolutely wild. Well, folks, that's what I have for you. If you haven't already, join up with the Discord. Prices are going up this month. The first month is free. So you can get grandfathered in for the cheaper price, the current price, for free. So do the free month. Put in that code Goonie. Test it out for a month. If you like it, great. You're grandfathered into a cheaper price, and you get to keep that, and everything's bueno. And then in the free month, if it's not you, if it's not your speed, if you just don't like me, hey, join the club. There's many who don't, but it didn't cost you anything. So just make sure to cancel your account within the first month, and then you're good to go. So check it out. My mods will drop it in chat, but just use that code Goonie when you're signing up on Locals. On Locals, you have to be a supporter to be in the Discord. There's membership and supportership. A member is free. You never have to pay anything. And even with that, you still get the email, the newsletter every single weekend to your email inbox. So you still get stuff with that. But to be in the Discord, you have to be a premium member, aka a supporter. And you could do that for free for the first month if you use the code Goonie. Check it out for a month. You get full access to everything. And if you like it, great. Stick around. You're grandfathered into the cheaper cost. And if it's not for you, okay, just make sure to cancel your account. So truly, you will not, you don't have to financially risk anything if you don't want to. That's what I have for you. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the good vibes. I'll catch you guys on the flippity flip. We'll be posting content later today, and then we'll be streaming once again tomorrow. And if you want to do the Apex stuff, that's what's currently pinned to the top of chat. They are the sponsor of today's stream. And if you use the code Goonie there, you'll get 80% off when you're taking those tests if you want to do the sim to prop type of stuff. That's what I have for you. I appreciate all the good vibes. Love you guys all. I hope you crush in the market. Be careful with this switch up. It's a wild one, but maybe, just maybe, we can make some money off of it. Peace out.